few.
Age over 65.
A lot of that saying he's going to be loaded up with peace.
Short answer, Lester, is that we don't know how
Computer board.
the president's political course is going to go.
He meant explosive in terms of fire.
They're transferring him to an inpatient in-hospital setting where he'll be watched very closely. That's very
I go to Super City for your expertise on bringing White House correspondent Kristen Welker. Kristen, Chuck and I talked about it a little bit, but with 32 days of election, we've got a couple of debates, including the VP debate coming next week. What do we know about how life goes on the campaign trail?
Well, there's no doubt that this will have some real-world implications about the mechanics of how this campaign moves forward. According to the debate commission, they are expecting the vice presidential debate to move forward, but the other two debates certainly in question. This is also going to have an impact when it comes to the actual campaign itself. Mike Melvin reporting just moments ago that former Vice President Joe Biden will be taking down its negative advertising from its rotation. We did hear from the former Vice President earlier today, who was in Michigan, who started his comments by talking about the president, saying that his thoughts and prayers are with the president and the first family right now. And we know that President Trump clearly cannot be out on the campaign trail, so his campaign saying all other campaign events will be considered on a case-by-case basis, and we will make every relevant announcement in the days ahead. You can expect if and when campaigning
A lot of that saying he's going to be loaded up with peace.
to be virtual in the near
Immortal
term. We understand
principles.
President Mike Pence does plan to move forward with some campaign events. Now, for his part, the vice president currently at his residence at the Naval Observatory as he continues to monitor all of this.
Climb over each other's face. You can climb right over their face. You don't have to wear masks. You don't have to do anything.
Vice President Biden making it very clear that this is just another day for politics, Lester.
All right, Kristen Welker, thanks. Go to Casey Hunt right now. There's more on all this. Casey.
Lester, to pick up on what Kristen was saying there, and also what Chuck was talking about just a couple of minutes ago, this move really underscores the seriousness with which the Biden
I do, because I have like a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
take the president to the hospital, where also told that this was something that has been under consideration in the works since
Michigan gave us Motan.
contracted the virus before we necessarily understood that it was perhaps serious enough for them to consider making this move. Lester, we can also report that we've been talking to, as we think through the continuity of government questions, whether congressional leaders were informed about what the president was planning to do here, because it does raise questions. Obviously, we're focused on Vice President Mike Pence, but we also potentially want to know where House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and then President Pro Tem of the Senate Chuck Grassley are as we're thinking through all of this. And we can report, a Democratic aide tells me that the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was not informed that the president was going to be going to Washington to work there for a few days before it became public knowledge. And they also have not, according to this aide, had any additional conversations about continuity of government planning with the House Speaker's office. It really underscores the conversations that I've been having, the degree of uncertainty around this, and to pick up on what Andrew Mitchell was saying, the unusual way in which the administration is handling this. I mean, that clearly is not anything, for those of us who have covered the Trump administration for all of these years, they do many, many things in ways that are not what we would consider usual or normal. But in a high-stakes situation like this one, where so much is potentially on the line, the President of the United States affected, obviously every family who has someone, a loved one with COVID, has obviously experienced the anxiety on a human level, but his governmental position obviously makes this just so much different, and the way that they are handling this.
Well, here we are. This is a day that I don't think a ton of people were expecting.
What's going on, and the lack of information coming from
This
the
is
White
a
House is not something that
it's another
we
shot
as
of
reporters would
Marine
expect
One.
in a situation of this gravity, magnitude and gravity.
They are
but it's also not something
waiting
that
for
many members of
better.
Congress
Yeah. This is the audio from this shot, live shot in front of the White House. That's Marine One on the lawn. This is where the president walks by and talks to reporters. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's not going to say anything today. And if he does, he's an even bigger jerk in all this. Hello, Northern Ireland. This is a big deal. This is no shit. This is an extraordinary turn of events. Now, the big problem, and I think the one that immediately crossed everyone's mind, is on the one hand, oh my God, Schadenfreude, this idiot managed to put himself in a position where this thing he called, a hoax and overblown, that was rounding a corner and that we've got a handle on and we can open, and governors all over the place. Oh, in the fridge, I guess, or in the what? Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. Thank you. I had a package coming and then I forgot all about it. So yeah, the other one was, big karma slap in the face for this dude who has been downplaying this thing, refuses, for all the noise about Biden not saying law and order, which of course Trump said law enforcement, which also goes to the cognitive confusion, fatigue that goes with this disease. Like, we have to start looking at the last week, at least till Monday, in retrospect, that a lot of his gibberish might be driven by the fact that he was experiencing some of the ancillary effects of COVID-19. Because what we do know about this disease is that it is not a respiratory illness like COVID, like most coronaviruses, where it primarily has to do with people, getting a lung infection that becomes a form of pneumonia, and then eventually you can't breathe, and the pressure on your heart and your cardiovascular system and your lungs and the lack of oxygen in your blood leads to your demise, as does extreme cases of flu when it attacks the system of old people. In the case of influenza B, attacks very young children. Do we think Trump will wear a mask now? No. We'll get to that in a minute, because they've already said that the people in the White House are not wearing masks, even now. Mark Meadows came out. We'll look at what he said over the course of today, because it's very telling. But he, now that he has had it, if he, God willing, survives, I wish no one, I in the same way that I don't wish the death penalty on anyone, I think even the most egregious criminals should live out the rest of their life in a 6x6 gray cell. The same way I do not, and I know some people are back and forth, they're sarcastically like, he's got it coming and blah, blah, blah. I get your feeling about that. I'm not gonna go there with you. And you gotta just be, you gotta be comfortable with splitting ways with me on that. I'm not going to wish anyone physical ill or anything but healing when this comes across, because the potential for a shift in his side of the electorate, if he comes through this and recognizes the threat, because we know he's a wimp, so even getting the sniffles and a rough, and a sore throat about it will make him feel close to death. You have to understand that the ego involved in a hypochondriacal and germophobic person is off the charts what you and I would go through. If we went through a bad flu, we'd go, yeah, it's a bad flu. Somebody like that goes through a narcissist goes through a bad flu, they think, oh my God, this would kill everyone else. I'm lucky to, thank you, Bethy. I'm lucky to have dodged it. Get me? So, he is allegedly, in theory, gonna walk out to this helicopter in a few minutes. There are everybody's waiting on this to see if it happens. We've obviously got the worst angles. Everybody's got their cameras. There are photographers parked over, if you notice, over here. See these guys? All these folks over here? They're all the ones who are going to get the footage of him going, however he manages to get there, to the helicopter. Now, Couple of things. So again, the immediate thought split I think everybody went through, and I'm curious in the chat room, let me know what you think about this, what your experience was, because we've all been kind of processing this since last night. Last night I was like, I could have gone to bed a half hour ago and just woke up to this craziness, and now I've got to stay up till ass in the morning seeing if there's any news. Why is Marine One off? This doesn't seem to be normal. Off? What do you mean? Oh, the lights aren't going yet and that kind of stuff. Yeah, they won't start until he's ready to move. They're not going to fire up the engines. That's the signal. That's why they're going to this outside thing. But they do have the tail lights on, so it's warmed up and ready to go. It doesn't take much. They can pop those rotors in there, and that thing takes off in a second. Understand, this is not your average helicopter. So that's totally different. It's not off, it's in, whisper mode. So the third thing you did was tweet me. Well, that's a good plan. So first one is, this is Karma, this is Schadenfreude, this asshole made his bed and now he has to cough in it. He's got to sweat it out, right? This is the first thought. This guy told everybody it was no big damn deal, and now he's got it, and he's going to find out what a big damn deal it is. Second thought is, I think, for a lot of people that follow that immediately is, unlike your average American, and certainly your low-income minorities who've been affected by this disease in an outsized way, those folks aren't going to have this experimental cocktail that he just got, which, by the way, they gave him in the White House, the Regeneron experimental cocktail, allegedly. They gave him this, and then they scheduled a 3-day trip to Walter Reed. That's one of the curious parts of this timeline, and we'll go through some of that because there's a little bit of like Clue, true crime, interest in this particular thing. Hey, look at that. We're at a level 5 hype train already. Thanks, guys. Look at that. Pa-boom. You guys are awesome. Thank you. And guys, we rolled straight into this. Welcome to the show. If you're not normally with us, what I do is I go through Trump's entire speeches, top to bottom, and I don't edit anything out. I just take it in context, and if I miss anything and I back up and see it again, I will correct myself in the process of it. You guys have all seen me do it, and in the process of doing this, whenever somebody comes up in the news and says that Trump has said this or he hasn't said this, or this defensiveness back and forth, most people, you'll find, are reacting to the clips they have seen of him, which is selectively chosen by people who like him and don't like him, and largely farmed by people who are concerned about his behavior and farmed by people who think the sun shines out of his ass. And here, we don't do that. Here, I watch the whole damn thing, okay? And we have many times seen him, talk this disease down, act like it was no big deal. He had a scheduled rally in Orlando, Florida tonight. Okay, that state all the sheriffs are for him from, and that he's winning hands down. Yeah, even fatigued, which they've been calling it for a week, and there's every reason to believe he contracted it on Sunday. That's another story. Tuesday, we found out that let me stay on track because there's a lot to unpack here. This has been happening all day. Ali's still acting like it's no big deal. People are acting like it's no big deal on his behalf. He has not tweeted since last night, and spokespeople, for the sake of the stabilization of the stock market and our system of government, and to keep, foreign forces from feeling like they can start slaughtering their own people ad nauseum, we will say there will constantly be talk about the president's fine, nothing's an issue, we're handling this, we have continuity of government, everything's in place. That conversation is necessary and good and consistent and shouldn't be surprising at all, okay? It's not about him. This happened when Reagan was shot. It happened when Reagan had his Moon River colonoscopy, where he was under sedation.
River.
If you'll recall.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
Where Bush became, semi-temporary, maybe kind of president for about 2 hours. There have been a couple of these along the way. The 25th Amendment was put in, I think, after Kennedy was assassinated, and therefore trying to create some sort of continuity issue. They've been addressing this kind of thing ever since. We are not at that level yet. More than likely, and I'm going to tell you, more than likely, and I could possibly be, I got my mom watching you sometimes. Oh, that's awesome. More than likely, it is quite possible. It is quite possible that he has adverse effects from this. But more than likely, he is going to pull through this in ways that it'll take about a week and a half. He will slowly get back to getting it together and be emblematic to his supporters in the last couple of weeks of the campaign that we can all beat this, and I beat this, and I'm going to be okay, and you don't have to worry about me getting it. What if Biden gets it? He hasn't had it yet. How do you know he's going to survive? Like, that'll be the last 2 weeks. Get ready for that bullshit. All possibilities of the fact that he's in shitty shape as a man. He does not take care of himself, and he's in the age group and in the weight range of people who have had really bad effects by this. I had a fever for 2 weeks, high about 103, thought I was going to die. Yeah. So this thing, let's be abundantly clear. How Gabe Sherman is reporting that Trump is insisting he walk to M1. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I expect he will walk. And he'll wave, and people will talk about how muted and tired and worn out and shitty he looks while he's doing it. So the primary thing, I think, you guys, and you guys can, let me know in the chat, both on, Facebook, Periscope, wherever you guys are. Your first feeling was, well, he called it fake and he called bullshit on this thing the whole time. And now he's getting his comeuppance to some degree. This is Schadenfreude, this is karma. The second feeling is even though he's getting his comeuppance, he's going to, okay, they're moving out there. There's the Marine stationing. There's some other people from staff or whatever coming around there's his photographer. Gonna march over here, get away from these propellers, take pictures of him or something. He walked. I don't know if they have another angle or if they're even going to go with the other angle until he's out there. We'll see footage later from this crowd over here, from the internal group. But, the first one being that, and the second feeling was, even though this asshole's getting kind of his comeuppance by this is the feeling that a lot of people are having, he's going to have access to healthcare that a lot of people won't, especially poor people. And especially people of color. He's going to have every possible, clinical, pharmacological, material help that he could possibly get to heal and stay healthy, right? This is the President of the United States. We should expect no less, but understand that this guy thinks that, but I think a lot of people think, that he would view this is a sign of him being special, not the importance of us having a president that survives for the sake of our, oh, here we go. Yep, they're firing it up. The economy and everything else. Let's see, why are they showing it from that angle? Why do they not have another shot of that? See what I mean, though? That thing is up to speed in seconds. Did you notice that? They're talking anesthesia now? Christ. So, yeah, let's see what they're saying in here.
Lady is traveling with him, but it'll be a very, very short flight over to Bethesda and the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, where he will be offered precautions now as he...
Who this shit was coughing in the background just then? Did you hear that?
Apparently feeling mild symptoms, and he's been treated at the White House itself, but doctors thought it was advisable to transfer him to the...
That is not a fountain. That's mucus coming out of the president. I'm kidding. What a weird shot. All right. So yeah, this. So first thing first. We all felt like he's getting his comment. Second is he's going to get this thing. The third feeling immediately was suspicion. Is he lying? Is this BS? Thank you so much, Auto TK1. No sympathy for him. Hal, sorry, I don't have anything for him. I understand. You're not responsible for sympathy. We just don't wish anyone ill. I can't force someone to feel a feeling they're not genuinely going to have. They slowed back down, and now they're speeding back up. Or unless this is... Are we footage behind? Oh, there we go. This is them. They took them off already, so we'll back up to this. Go to the footage here. So he walked out. You're going to lose your bug, NBC, and not see him? How do you not... What a weird angle. Yeah, I'm on a delay. This is the NBC delay or whatever. A couple seconds behind, but we'll watch it go up. Doesn't quite matter. There he is. Getting in there. They didn't show him on ABC. Yeah. Yeah, so the other feeling everybody had was, is he lying? Is this all a giant ploy? Now, let's say it came out as far as stories. You're going into an election cycle. Let's see. They're downplaying it. I want him to lose. I feel like we aren't going to get the truth on his actual, on his actual condition unless he dies. It's entirely possible. They said it's requirements that make them, they said it's requirements that might make them change viewpoints during the shot. I see. Yeah, so there we go. They're showing it flying over in that other shot. So there'll be a better shot of him once they go to the shot at Bethesda, because that's the one where you see him, where the landing, you'll see him. So the other question was, is he lying? And this is a question I think that occurred to a lot of people. Is he just making this up? Because in the week leading up to it, that was a wobbly lift. I don't know. Backseat drive Marine One. That thing is amazing. Look at that thing. Thing is like, there's like a flying anvil, that thing. Imagine being in the downdraft of that thing. Like the reporters over there. Holy God. So, in this, I think I call hoax. He needs to get out of the next debate. Yeah, so here's let's see. And people are saying, MSNBC said White House will release a clip of him getting on the helo later. Right, okay. Yeah. 20 to 25K for a civilian medevac flight.
Maryland GOP congressional candidate Kim Klacik, whose first digital ad went viral, released a sequel yesterday in which he continues to hold, Baltimore.
What the hell? Oh, they cut away from that footage. I'm like, why are you showing me this? So, they're the lie. So the question is he lying? So he's had this week where we find out he paid $750 in taxes on some of the years that he did pay taxes at all. He does this whole thing where he won't denounce the Proud Boys, and when he tries, he says, stand back and stand by. And then he says, stand down and let the law enforcement handle it, as if the Proud Boys are on the side of law enforcement. Oh, is that the footage? Did they speed it up so he looks like he's walking faster? What the hell is this? What kind of Babe Ruth bullshit is this? What are you doing? Put that back. Why are you running?
An incredible series of developments that have brought us to this point. A president
what the hell was that? Why are you playing? What? Hasn't moved that fast since he dodged the service. Yeah, no, he'd never moved that fast. That's ridiculous. CNN has it slow. Was that a body double? Yeah. Who's wearing the mask now? Yeah. Well, he's symptomatic. He's spreading virus everywhere he goes. Everything he touches. Do you see him slapping the rail and all that stuff as he went in? I'm so excited by this distraction. Answer our prayers. Poetic justice. Karma's no expiration date. Stunt Trump. Maybe ABC has it at normal speed. I'll see if I can find it. But Jesus Christ. This is his excuse to resign because Biden's beating him and he can't lose. I mean, this is where everybody's brain goes. This is what this man has sown by his behavior, by the way he's talking. Because on the one hand, we're like, see what you get, asshole. And on the other hand, you're like, I bet he gets so much extra, taxpayer-funded medical help. Then I gotta straighten my mic. This is lopsided weirdness. Hold on. That should be a little better. He's going to get that. And then maybe it's a lie. Maybe after $750 a week and stand back and stand by and Melania's tapes coming out and all this stuff, that they're just creating this BS where he beats it and then he comes out and it winds him up and gives him a run at the last 2 weeks. The primary reason why I don't buy that more than any other is, and believe me, they can't afford ad campaigns, so they were doing rallies in lieu of that, and he was just saying incendiary shit to get on the news, to kind of cover the news cycle to get the free press that goes with it. But they can't afford 2 weeks of him not rallying. And the story about him being in Walter Reed for days dealing with this, when, hundreds of thousands of people in this country have not had that kind of service available to them. I mean, this goes back to Dick Cheney's heart attack. Like Dick Cheney's had all these heart surgeries and then he fights like hell against, people getting insurance. There you go. There's the normal footage. This is him trying to hold it together. Just walking slow, doing it. There you go. I don't know why they ran that footage. It's so odd. Yeah, but that's the thought, I think, Bill Groves, that a lot of people had, that it's a Hail Mary, for the campaign. But watch him, slap that, hey, guys, let's get going. Thanks so much, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets in. And allegedly the First Lady is farting the entire walk. No question. I mean, we'll go to a live, if you listen quietly, you can hear the helicopter. There it is. I have a special mic trained on the helicopter right there. If it bangs, there you go, right as it's going by. There it is. Yeah, you can hear it. Basically, they're just kind of pacing that, yeah. Closing it up, Secret Service is going with them. Secret Service has had a bunch of guys get sick. Military guys have had a bunch of guys get sick. Trump himself blamed the cops and military, saying that, when you deal with, look at that dude. That dude is a beast. You see that one-handed yank? That's the bug out technique. That is not we're going off to a rally. That's holy smokes. Can we just appreciate that Marine for a second? Good God. Did you see that? Just rolled the string up in his hand and yanked the door shut. That thing probably weighs 150 pounds. Well, it's assisted. It weighs 500 pounds. Yeah, but it's assisted, but still. Christ. Oh. 2 of them. Did they swap the real Donald Trump for a fake one? They gonna bank off? Do we have, what in the world? Is that the escort? ABC has the Gates of Walter Reed trying to get pics. We'll see if we can do this. ABC Trump arrives at Walter Reed. It's gonna give me yeah, live now. Yeah, that's their shot. Nice work, guys. How is it that People with cell phones have a better shot than you do, ABC. What is happening? Look at all these folks, though. Dude bringing his dog. There's like all these people like, I got a shot of him. Going in there, there's a kid, a bunch of like people running. Look, this dude, the real photographer coming up. Brum, brum, brum. I need special report graphics for this kind of thing. But I appreciate ABC pointing at my Venmo sticker. But yeah, there he is taking on. This is where they're going. White House, out of an abundance of caution, President Trump going to Walter Reed for the next few days. Look at that shit. For the next few days. Wow. Yeah, ABC forgot their selfie stick. Like everybody's like, NBC has a good shot of it. we're all working the camera angles on this. I was just at NBC. Oh, there we go. Yeah. See if they.
The president's care is Dr. Sean Conley, who is the White House physician.
Dr. Sean Conley. I'm going to give him a treatment at Moneypenny.
Connolly, not Connery, but that would be cool.
The White House and
Sean Connery.
Providing that.
By the way, there's no difference between Connolly and Connery as far as names go with Scottish names because of the accent. Look at this. Not even just like
Crew has
unzipping.
turned off the.
Look at that dude like unzipping his fly. That thing came down. Like. Orange finger. Orange finger. He's the man with the orange finger. Okay. Can you shave a little off the left side? Okay, there's that. No, that's Secret Service. Giving a look around. Good man. Check those trees behind you. I know the Marines have got it. They got heat scans on that whole area. Yeah, you just. And look at these two guys, the two pilots. They're like, well, have fun 14 days at the friggin' hotel we've got to stay at again. Why on him? What about Melania? There he goes. There he goes, just walking through, getting a van. But look at how they're they are certainly, thank you very much, they are certainly minimizing what you're seeing of them. That's for damn sure. There's the photographer. She's the one who ran and was on the other side of things. The shot she's going to have, holy smokes. Why's she got to get in the back? The hell? Maybe she can shoot out the back of the car as they're driving, but it looks like she's sitting with bags on her lap. Hell? I mean, imagine carrying all those lenses around. He has no makeup on, not a bit of slap. Oh, he's a little bit. What is this? Shouldn't the Surgeon General weigh in on, yes. Yes, there should be, in any, I think Chris Hayes said this earlier, in any normal situation, there would be an address by the surgeon, the White House physician and the Surgeon General on the state of the president. Al, I love how you say everything I'm yelling. Well, it's we're all in the same boat. The problem is there's like 4 different things to yell at this thing. And so we were at it being a lie. Trump is going to spend the next 3 days assaulting Twitter. I don't know. And I think a lot of what you're going to see if he does start posting is going to be coming from staff. It's going to be very, guarded comparatively. And the darker shit they put up will be all retweets. Maybe blame someone else because he fooled around with Hope. I don't think that's any internal surprise. The question has, and this is the New York Times is running this live COVID updates. So I love how this is like Trump to undergo tests. You mean after they gave him the special stuff? Here's what you need to know. Biden tested negative for the virus twice. Trump recently traveled to and from 3 states, packed schedule. We all saw that. Pence, the next in line for the presidency, tested negative and will resume campaigning. Pelosi also tested negative. Next week is a critical phase in Trump's illness. Here are the risks he faces. We'll deal with that in a second. There are public officials and members of Trump's circle who have recently tested positive or negative for the coronavirus. President of Notre Dame test negative less than a week after a White House visit. And I find it very odd that Trump feels the need to blame military or cops for Hope Hicks getting it. So this was the thing too. So last night, they're talking about him having quote unquote mild symptoms. Mild symptoms for a lot of the people was a fever and fatigue. Once you get into congestion and a cough, where it starts monkeying around with your lungs and screwing with your immune system, that's when it gets really dangerous. The mild symptoms or asymptomatic people are largely fever and fatigue, right? He's got fever, fatigue, congestion, and a cough. The lung part of this is where it gets scary. Anyone in contact with him in the last 2 weeks needs to quarantine. Yeah. And allegedly, they're saying Amy Coney Barrett had it this summer. So she doesn't have to. So she can continue with her confirmation, right? So they don't, again, they said, it says he's got fever, congestion, and cough. This all changed over the last couple of hours. But President Trump remained fatigued but in good spirits on Friday after receiving a promising experimental drug to treat COVID-19. That's the Regeneron cocktail. Oddly enough, so they give him this shot at the White House, in the facility at the White House, and then go, you know what? Maybe we need to park him in Walter Reed for a few days. This is where I was like, nah, this is not them, you know, the president lying about this, convalescing at the White House, you know, tweeting from bed, pretending, you know, he's got, you know, you get a shot with him with a thermometer in his mouth and his doctor feeding him, you know, apple slices or some bullshit. That's where that ended. The minute they gave him, and again, did they really give it to him? I'm going to go with yes. But the fact that they gave him this and then decided to take him, as they're saying, has mild symptoms and has been working out through the day. We'll see that in a second. Out of an abundance of caution. Now, keep in mind, the White House has a medical facility in it that's basically an ICU. I'll ever think of doing guest interviews in addition to the presser reviews? Absolutely. It's just getting the guests and organizing them. I don't have a producer. That's why we're still looking for Patreon support. I'm not at the point where I have guests. So, the president, who said early Friday morning that he had tested positive for the virus, is showing mild symptoms of COVID-19. Mark Meadows, the White House chief of staff, told reporters on Friday. We'll get to that in a second. So, listen what he's being treated with, by the way. Vitamin D. Hello. Guys, have I not the whole time been saying it did not take long for Herman Cain? It was 3 weeks, I think. Something along those lines. I'll come on and ramble. That's all I need. Yeah, he's on Pepcid AC as well. Yeah, because he's got acid reflux because of his crap diet. Oh, they're Lysoling the White House. You bet your ass. I'm sure the Bidens are insisting on it. Vitamin D, zinc. By the way, 2 things I am taking every day. A daily aspirin, also something I am taking every day. I take a mild form of that because I am over 50, and this disease is turning out to be largely a vascular issue, even when it affects the lungs and makes your immune system flip out. The thrombosis aspects of this are some of the scariest parts of it. And the ancillary effects of it, which is you get it, you pass through it, and then over the next few months you have all these other things. That's what he gets for the KFC diet. Well, Cassie, that's exactly the issue. Yeah, I'm 51. I turned 51 on September 25th. I take aspirin because my back says out. I take vitamin D also, Hal. Yeah. Low-dose aspirin. And vitamin D and zinc are part of the cocktail to protect yourself if you do get the virus in your system, to kind of fight it off with your natural immune system, and before it progresses to the part where your body has to create antibodies. So that's always good. This I found weird. Melatonin. The president is taking melatonin. Look, I mean, hold on. I skipped down here. Where do we go? Yeah. So melatonin helps you sleep. If your sleep cycle's off and you need to sleep, but it is a natural way of doing it. This is very different than, basically creating a chemical yo-yo, which is what they were probably doing when he gacks up on speed, and then he's probably having these power naps that are messing himself up. Offset the caffeine from the Diet Coke. I think it's worse than that. I mean, if you listen to his Adderall crushed Sudafed habit, those kind of things may speak to why he has trouble sleeping in a normal cycle. But he's also, this will help you if you're traveling to different time zones. So they may have added this to his regimen anyways, without consulting him, to try and keep his sleep cycle balanced naturally, his circadian rhythm. But it's an awfully hippie response compared to what this president normally does. And as an example, he's taking Pepsid. He's not altering his diet and looking at the foods he's consuming and going, hey, that particular food doesn't agree with me. I think I'll eliminate it from my diet and move to a diet that is more comfortable for my system. Now, he's eating whatever shit he wants, and he's taking famotidine, or famotidine, or famotidine, I suppose, with plasma, with his Pepsid. So he took the Regeneron treatment as one of the most promising candidates. Still minor studies. He posted a 15-second blurb on Twitter before he left. All right, we'll take a look at that real quick. Give me 1 second. Did he say something? Is it one of these things? So hold on, I'm gonna find this. Trump. Yipe.
Tremendous support. I'm going to.
Yipe. Hold on. I want to see if it's. I want to see the White House's version of it. There it is. That was a crap. I think I'm doing very well. Whoa. Check this out. Hold on.
I want to thank everybody for the tremendous support. I'm going to Walter Reed Hospital. I think I'm doing very well, but we're going to make sure that things work out. The First Lady is doing very well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will never forget it. Thank you.
Yipes. Yeah. He looks like shit. He looks very pale. He doesn't have his normal orange paint on, but also he's kind of doddering right now. You can tell he's fatigued.
I want to thank everybody for the tremendous support. I'm going to Walter Reed Hospital. I think I'm doing very well.
We're doing great. Fantastic job. My immune system is...
But we're going to make sure that things work out. The First Lady is doing very well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will never forget it. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I will never forget it. 18 seconds, improv video, basically walking through the room as he's about to head out. This is awful. Yeah, he looks 90. Yeah. This is gnarly. Super V recovery happening right here. Yeah. This thing regarding what has happened to Trump, it honestly has little to no impact on how the entire country is dealing with all this. It will actually, because this will point to a shift in strategy from how they have to address this stuff. They cannot pretend. I'm not worried about Pence. They cannot pretend this is nothing anymore. He looks awful. And you can tell he's feeling it. I think I'm doing very well. That's a frightened person.
I want to thank everybody for the tremendous support. I'm going to Walter Reed Hospital. I think I'm doing very well, but we're...
See that little flutter of his brow? You guys see that? You guys notice that? I think I'm very... Watch what he says, right? I mean, I don't want to Zapruder film this too much, but you can tell. I mean, he's a pretty transparent person. Watch his eyebrow when he says, I think I'm doing very well.
I'm doing very well, but we're going to...
See that? I think I'm doing very well.
Very well, but we're going to make sure that things work out. The First Lady is doing very well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will never forget it. Thank you.
It's like a toddler. I mean, he sounds like a child. He sounds like a child going, like, this is really weird. COVID causes tremendous anxiety. Thank God. This is super weird. So Kayleigh McEnany went on Fox to talk about this afterwards. And again, this is, let's see if I can back up to this business.
COVID-19 raising a red flag about the number of people he may have come in contact with recently.
Mm-hmm.
And
there you go. Look at this. Look at them rolling through all these things.
Dozens of those people over the past week who work with him or were at rallies or events. Meanwhile, New Jersey's governor says state officials have begun contact tracing after the president's big event fundraiser in Bedminster, New Jersey yesterday.
You think?
I want to bring in White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany.
I couldn't be happier that my president is on his way to Walter Reed for days. What, honest to God, like, what kind of meeting are you having where you can't go to this shot and not pretend like you're about to go, ready? Okay, we've got to go. COVID, no. We've got to go. COVID, no. Like,
Kennedy, who, by the way, tested negative yesterday and today.
She's a very negative person. We know this. This is.
I was relieved to hear that. I know you're a new mom.
Thank
and
you,
wish
Harris.
the best, Kayleigh, to you.
Yeah, it's old moms that seem to have the issue. Grandmoms, even. But I don't, by the way, I don't want her getting sick. I don't want her spreading it to her family. I don't want her getting it, having an asymptomatic spread, giving it to her kid taking it to school, giving it to other people who end up dying. You understand how this works? Yeah, ask her about the river. We'll get to that story in a second, God damn it.
And your family, absolutely. Look, this is tough.
What? And by the way, you're wearing a cross, and you got the off-the-shoulder look. Whatever. I am not a sex-shaming Christian in that regard. But the Zorro slit in your shirt. This thing? See that? Really? The cleavage, it's like Zorro slit?
Anybody to learn. He's the president of the United States with a lot on his plate. When did the president learn of Hope Hicks' positive COVID-19 result? Because that's kind of the beginning of our learning about it.
You think? Okay, so this is not a question she wants to answer. You can look at her pursy face right now.
In the media through her. So when did the president know about Hope Hicks?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Hope.
Yeah, she does. They knew Sunday or Monday.
I'm not going, or excuse me, Harris. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not going to get into an exact timeline. But
Yeah, because the timeline makes it look like we didn't give a shit.
Safe to say the president took precautions. He learned of his positive test last night within an hour. We put out that information to the American people. I spoke to him and he was in very good spirits and is having mild symptoms right now.
Great. Okay, I got through the hard part. Now, give me a couple of layups so I can get the shit out of here.
Yeah,
By this way, I don't like talking about hope in the first place. Everything. Hope, hope, hope.
I want to talk a little bit more about how he and the First Lady are doing in a moment. Some concern today is that Hope Hicks had traveled to Cleveland, Ohio. And we don't know if that's where the original spread happened, but we say that because the president was with her, was closely with her. And the
How closely?
Lady. And in terms of notifying staff and journalists, people on the ground at that next event in Minnesota, they would have traveled together after she was known to have tested positive.
Yeah, this is the... I've got to ask you a real question right now because some of my colleagues hang out with you assholes. Would you mind answering this for real? And look at her squinty face. Look what Kaylee's going through right now. Ooh, you bastard.
She had signs, symptoms on the plane. Air Force One, it's been reported they quarantined her on the plane. What were some of the decision making around not maybe notifying people then?
So I was unaware of what was going on Air Force One, but I can tell you this.
Why would you be aware of what's going on Air Force One? You're only the president's spokesperson.
Immediately when she got a positive result, and I think the chief answered this question this morning as to the timeline of just before Marine One yesterday. Immediately there was contact tracing that was put into place and all of the necessary procedures.
Yeah, contact tracing. It went something like this. Okay, who's all on this helicopter? Okay, yeah, you've all been exposed to COVID. So just for the record, we have to test everybody because she's right here. She was all here yesterday. And she's also here. So that's the easiest contact tracing we've done.
Contact tracing takes time, but rest assured, we will always do what is in the best interest of the American people and those around. And I have confidence in the White House medical unit to make the right decisions as they did with Hope and with others.
What are...
Just get these. I've got 5 statements I have to say, and if I find some way to crowbar them into what she's asking.
Some of the protocols, Kaylee, that are changing. You know, I watch you every day with your White House press briefing, and as a mom, I'm always concerned because there's some mask wearing, but it's a tight space that you go.
Yeah, there's some mask wearing from the reporters. Just say it. Say who is not wearing masks. Her and the White House staff. And why aren't they? Because they all get that Abbott quick test that takes 15 minutes, which has a 50-50 false negative, which makes you think you're fine and go on working. And look who's spreading it around.
And you're not wearing a mask because you're speaking and you're at the lectern. Are those things going to change? Are you going to take them outside as long as the weather will permit? And by the way, I'd stand in snow. I don't really care about the weather.
Yes, you know, look, we put in place safety procedures. The White House Correspondents Association has spaces in between the...
By the way, a couple of journalists who work in the White House press corps that are in that room have tested positive.
Chairs. We wear masks in the White House when we can't socially distance the president. We make sure we're always 6 feet away and we stay away from each other. So we'll move forward with those same procedures, and we believe that we will protect those here in the White House as we come to work, as we're essential workers.
As we're essential workers? Excuse you? What do you think you're frontline medical, or you stack groceries? You're a propagandist.
The president's positive test results have also put other big events in question, like the vice presidential debate set for next Wednesday, I believe it is, and the second presidential debate scheduled for October 15th.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That debate between President Trump and Joe Biden falls within the president's 14-day quarantine period. What is the plan right now?
Plan. Oh, yeah, let's go with plan. What's the plan?
So we haven't gotten that far just...
We don't have a plan. we haven't gotten that far. It just happened. we don't really have a plan. I mean, it's the president of the United States and the government of the United States and the functional executive branch of the United States, but we don't really have
yet. This morning and this afternoon, we're focused on the president. We're having to hold
Why? He's only got mild symptoms. I don't understand.
back a little here because he's hard at work. He spoke to Senator McConnell today, Senator Graham. I just spoke with the chief of staff, and President Trump has talked to him about emergency declarations and stimulus. So we're just trying to make sure that he takes it easy, but he's hard at work and will continue to.
All right, let's get into it. The president reportedly now is showing some mild symptoms, and we saw Melania Trump tweeting out that she had mild symptoms. So this is not asymptomatic COVID-19, and we don't know what's ahead, but we're prayerful that it's going to be a speedy recovery. Tell me about what's happening right now with the president, how exactly they are both feeling.
Yeah, so he's having mild symptoms, but he's feeling good. He's in good spirits. I spoke to him
A lot of blinking.
last night, and he absolutely was hard at work and was feeling good then. He did a long Hannity interview right here on this network. So he's feeling good, but again has those mild symptoms, as the chief confirmed this morning.
Well, look, I want to move on to something.
What's his temperature?
It's hard news. The New York Times is coming under fire for suggesting President Trump may not remain on the ballot. President Trump, it says, quote, revealed early Friday morning that he and the First Lady had tested positive for the coronavirus, throwing the nation's leadership into uncertainty if he becomes sick. It could raise questions about whether he should remain on the ballot at all.
Yeah, if he becomes sick. If he's on a ventilator, he shouldn't be on the ballot. And by the way, it's too late. We're too late. We're too close to this election. If Trump ends up on a ventilator, and even if he pulls through after the election, and he's been on a ventilator for an extended period of time, which they're probably never going to put him on. They're going to use they're going to run a line into his leg and oxygenate his blood that way, and he's going to hate it, and that's why he's going to the hospital. Al, you played the audio last night. He sounded like garbage. He totally did. And apparently that was supposed to be a longer address. He cut it short.
What's the response from the White House?
The White House is why would she be like, these guys, this is a serious disease.
You hear that from the Times.
What a ridiculous assertion by the New York Times.
Why? He's the same age as Herman Cain. Herman Cain is dead. Why is it ridiculous that he might end up on a ventilator and therefore be incapacitated and unable to be president? On the same day he's being evac'd to Walter Reed for days. The dude is not drinking ginger ale and eating ice cream to settle his tummy in bed while tweeting for 5 days and gets to miss 2 days of school. It's not that kind of illness.
May be the hope and the wish of the New York Times.
That's gross. Piss off.
But President Trump
in a serious world, you ask serious questions.
Trump is the president of the United States. He's on the ballot. He's hard at work. And look, if you look at the jobs report just today, those remarkable numbers, getting below 8% unemployment. No one thought that was possible. It's a testament to what this president has.
We're still at 10.2. That's bullshit.
Done.
And it's slowing. Did you see the job growth? We're back. We gained we got back 665,000 jobs. It was 1.5 million in the last one. It's slowing. He's
put his head down. He's worked. He's continuing to do that, and he will all the way through November.
He's going to put his head down on a pillow at Walter Reed.
Real quickly, I don't know if you heard Karl Rove has come up with all these ways the president can actually work from home. And it was interesting. He talked about like a telephone town hall. He had quite a list.
Telephone town hall. They do tele-rallies. They can do these debates without ever being in each other's presence. As a matter of fact, it's a great idea. And it will make it nearly impossible for him to talk over Biden, too. It won't work for him. If he can't bully someone, you need an audience to bully someone. And you have to be aware of, and you have to listen and know how the audience is responding too.
Will we see a national address from the president?
Look, I won't confirm exactly what you'll see from him, but it's safe to say that you'll be seeing and hearing from the president as he moves forward with his working schedule.
Look at that. Yeah, 354 people just in the Twitch. Hi, guys. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Crazy day, right?
Exploring a number of different ways to do that, but he wants to talk to the American people. I can tell you this about President Trump. This man loves the American people, loves speaking to them directly, and nothing's going to stop him from doing just that.
A ventilator would. Stop talking like this isn't serious. You're adding to the problem. This is, yeah.
All right. Appreciate you being with me to give me an update. Give my
Glad to be here. It was super fun. I mean, it's just that the president's been taken to Walter Reed. Oh, by the way, a little sideline good news. Can we do this real quick? Get out of the way, Ross. Sorry, you didn't invent this story. Can we just revel in that for 1 second? Since it seems to be a day of karma. You know what I mean? We just, yeah. 3 rapes, 3 sexual assaults. So that's that. You know, the whirlwind is coming back around. We'll go to this little thing. Hold on. Look, they're going to jump in here with all these things. Yeah, so I wanted to do this real quick, and then let me see if I can find. Let me do this because screw it. Well, let's do this. Trump, Hannity. Let's hear what bullshit he was talking about. Interview. This was just. It'll give me probably the one, maybe the one right away from last night. Debate reaction 20 hours ago. Here we go. So this is. He calls in.
Let me ask you. We have a lot of ground to cover and very little time to do it.
Yeah, you're on a time crunch. Why is that? Because Hannity himself, I mean, maybe they're bringing him on later and later in Hannity's show because if you bring him on in the first block, he'll eat up the whole hour by jibber jabbering. The pilots on Marine One were wearing non-medical masks when they flew in today in case anyone is tempted to think this will make him care about others. Right. Oh, he's trash, but have some bits. Thank you very much. And thanks, guys, for all the support. Thanks for just joining us. Can't read it. Was found guilty. No, they're applying 6 new charges to him. These are new charges. They have not. They're going to be tried, but 6 more cases are going forward. So, anyways, this is last night. At this point, we are supposed to believe that they know hope is positive. Trump is waiting for his test, and he doesn't know if he's positive or not. That's horseshit. Okay? There is no friggin' way that he was waiting. Maybe he was waiting for his 2nd or 3rd test. Why aren't you worried about Pence? I'm not worried about Pence because he does not have the charismatic control over the followers like Trump has. He's a placeholder. He's white bread. While some of the evangelicals will support him more comfortably than they would Trump, all the macho ones and all that kind of stuff aren't going to line up behind Pence. They think he's a cream puff. They're not going to. Honest to God, that's it. So, anyways, we're supposed to believe at this point that Trump doesn't know he's tested positive. For the record, he does. They've tested positive at least once. Now they're waiting for the 2nd one.
There's an election in 33 days.
Right.
You know, I went through
a
lot of things, and, you know, I don't know. We always say the words, this is the land of the free and the home of the brave. And Mark is right. If you look at the debate with Paul Ryan years ago, Joe Biden interrupted a lot, fought a lot, But from all my interviews with you, you don't apologize for fighting to take out the Caliphate or Soleimani or al-Baghdadi.
Yeah, the Caliphate, Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, those are enemies of the American people. They are not your principled opponents on the debate stage. There's a difference. And that thought alone, coming out of Sean Hannity's square skull, points to the problem with Hannity as a show and the Fox News networks as next network as it currently exists. Conservatives, Republicans are not my enemy. They are not on the same level as ISIS. And anybody who would even allude to that is a frigging maniac, especially when you're debating the political aspects of it. Are there operatives that work for the Republican Party that are enemies of the state and are carrying out violent acts? Yeah. But that's not who's being debated. That's not who you're talking to. And you're talking to the ideological emblem of a bunch of other people in the country when you're having a debate.
Or the al-Qaeda leader in Yemen. You don't seem to mind to fight to get the money for the wall or fight for lower taxes.
He didn't get it. He stole it from military families.
Or to go out and fight for energy independence, or
we already had energy independence.
Fight for the justices you promised you'd put on the Supreme Court.
You mean steal one because you are having a double standard for Republicans versus Democrats? Why is that just or balanced or a fight? That is simply theft.
Some people say, well, maybe the president shouldn't have fought so hard in the debate.
Nope. Yeah, that's what everything. He shouldn't have fought so hard. That's how we're wording it. That's how people are putting it. He shouldn't have fought so hard. He shouldn't have blathered incessantly, talking out of his ass and saying things like, that was sarcastic. You know that was sarcastic. When Biden brings up the bleach injection
you
thing.
Respond to them.
Well, I have to do it because I know a lot of people said, look, he was losing his if you look at what he did, he was probably or possibly losing that coherence that everybody talks about because he's a mess. Let's face it. He's a mess.
You just lost your coherence in that situation. And that was the goal, by the way. Can we just, again, this is him. The way you mess with somebody who has a stutter is you interrupt them incessantly and attempt to make them have to rephrase an answer they're already in the process of giving. That's how you mess with somebody with a stutter. It's a cruel trick. It's all he had in the debate, and it's what he was attempting to do. Can we just understand that was the tactic? That's 100% what he was doing. And by the way, if you'll notice, that's what he's saying. He's like, it worked. He's trying to convince Sean Hannity that tactic worked.
Now, I could have waited, but he was saying so many lies that I figured it was just better to bring it up as he's saying them because it was just lie after lie after lie.
No, it wasn't.
And so I do.
You do it. See, I pause people. I do it afterwards or whatever, and it still allows your thought to continue.
As he said it, I would criticize him, and I think it was effective. If you look at the polls, I mean,
no.
Almost all the polls, the poll people,
polling the people every polling day.
That I won, the Hispanics.
The poll people.
They have me close to
very tall.
70% to 28. Because they're strong people,
that
smart
was the
people.
Telemundo poll. There was a WGN poll that had you at 61%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lower than you just said. Way to correct him.
By the way, I would
have preferred letting him catch himself because he can't issue a full statement practically. But at the same time, on the assumption that he does, he is going on and on with lie after lie. So
he's got 2 minutes uninterrupted. That's part of the debate. On and on. See, that's how a debate works. The other person gets to speak, and then you get to answer, going on and on.
Correct those lies as they came up. Too many to go back and get. She didn't have enough. We didn't have enough paper. Too many to go and
enough paper
get. And I don't know. I think it was a very effective. Frankly, I'd like to leave the same format. I like the format.
What if they changed it?
Yeah.
Talking about the debate commission, talking about changing the rules. They're already.
First of all, why is there an evil seance going on in front of the White House right now? That's what I want to know.
Rules agreed to. What is your reaction if they try to do that?
Well, this is the rules that were.
Did he just burp? Hold on. Listen to this.
Talking about changing the rules. There were already rules agreed to. What is your reaction if they try to do that?
Well, this is the rule.
You hear that?
Well, were agreed to, but I think it would be very bad. You remember with Hillary Clinton, they modulated my mic, and they actually apologized for it, but they modulated my mic. So when I looked at her,
they modulated my mic.
They had my mic turned off or way down, and I said, "What?"
Yeah, so you wouldn't interrupt her.
What's going on over here? They actually issued an apology. So we're dealing with very tricky people here. But I think you remember that very well. They modulated my mic.
Modulated your mic? You mean they lowered the volume? Modulated it? What is he talking about? Okay. Trump mic modulated Hillary debate. Like, what? Actually, a malfunction did affect Donald Trump's voice at the debate. Here's what he's talking about. Just in case you were wondering. They modulated my mic and they apologized. Right. The Commission on Presidential Debates said Friday that the first debate on Monday was marred by an unspecified technical malfunction that affected the volume of Donald Trump's voice in the debate hall. In the hall, not on television. Mr. Trump complained after the debate and the event's organizers had given him a defective mic, contributing to his widely panned performance against Hillary Clinton. Ms. Clinton lampooned Mr. Trump's claim, telling reporters her campaign plane, "Anybody who complains about the microphone is not having a good night." Mr. Trump was clearly audible to television audiences, and there was no evidence of sabotage, but it turns out he was on to something regarding the first debate. There were issues regarding Donald Trump's audio that affected the sound level in the debate hall. So, monitors, volume versus what was going out. Some members of the audience held at hostage recall in interviews the application of Mr. Trump's voice was at times significantly lower than that for Mrs. Clinton, and at times Mr. Trump appeared to be hunching down to get his face closer to his microphone. Wrong. That whole business. In an interview, Mr. Trump said he had tested out the audio system 2 hours before the event and found it flawless. Only during the debate did he notice the problem, and he tried to compensate by leaning down more closely to the microphone. He complained that the changing volume had distracted him and alleged, again, that someone had created the problem deliberately. So that's.
They say I won all of the debates. So I was in 16, 17 debates. They say I won all of the debates. I like this format, but at the same time, he's got to be truthful. And by the way, a number of people brought up today, Sean, that he was the one that interrupted me. He started off with 3 major interruptions long before I started doing it to him.
By the way, I want to point out tonight, I know the First Lady, Melania Trump, the White House is pink tonight in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Okay, there we go.
And she wrote that as one nation we remember the precious lives lost, pray to bring comfort and strength to those battling the disease. By the way,
yeah, it doesn't look pink. It looks like blood red. It looks like something out of the friggin' Shining. I don't understand this. This is really weird. Hold on, I'm fixing a page so I can get ready in case I have a question. Okay, there we go.
In life had very advanced stage cancer, breast cancer, double mastectomy, chemotherapy, radiation. She survived it, but barely.
Oh, God, geez, Michael Moore said Trump is faking. Right.
So it is an important thing. 1 in 7 women can get this. It's very scary. Let me ask you.
I'll go to MSNBC, funny, spooky reporter.
About
I'm not,
Joe
I can't go live to their stuff, only what's sort of available.
Biden will not answer the question about packing the court.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer said last night that everything is on the table. That means statehood for D.C., statehood for Puerto Rico.
Yikes.
So ending the
Oh, no, not statehood for Puerto Rico. Not something Ronald Reagan was advocating for.
Legislative filibuster, and some Democrats have even talked about moving for a constitutional amendment to end the Electoral College. Joe Biden.
Yeah, people have been talking about that for a long time.
Says that it's a trick, a Donald Trump trick, to tell the American people if he'll stack the courts or do any of these things. Your response?
Well, I went after him on that, and I said, are you going to stack the court? I also said, are you going to say the words law and order? He wouldn't say them.
He did, too. He specifically said, we want law and order that is with justice.
said law and order with safety and justice or something.
Yeah.
But I said to him that, but we need law and order in our country. And
Yeah, he said we need law and order with justice. Why is that a lap to take where you're saying with safety and justice? That's like saying I'm against safety and justice. What are you talking about?
Democrat cities are falling to pieces with this.
Yeah, they're just terrible. I mean, you can't even go to Seattle anymore. It all burned down. It's all gone. Chicago's gone. I don't know if you know this. Just a big crater.
So
full of pigs.
With these people running them. But stacking the courts. They can have many justices. They want to put many because we've been beating them. And we have the 9 justices, and we have a great new one going on.
A great new one going on.
But now what they want to do is they want to put many additional justices on the.
The stacking of the court idea is based on the idea that there should be one justice for every federal bench. And there used to be 9, now there's 13. 13 or 16? 13, I think. And that there should be extra ones added to match those so that there's one representing each federal bench.
Supreme Court, so that they can, it's sort of like you're losing the game and you start cheating. But they want to put many, they are. I mean, they're doing it with the ballots, they're doing it with the Supreme Court, and it's a very sad thing. But they are looking to stack the court, and they are also going to add 2 or 3 new states. I heard Guam and 2 others that you mentioned, as you know. That would give them 6 automatic Senate seats.
Why? Why couldn't you win those places? Why does the Republican Party feel like the people of Puerto Rico, a largely Latin culture there, wouldn't, because of pro-life Catholicism or conservative Latin values, couldn't turn Republican? Or that they just automatically are going to lose D.C. because it's full of black people, because they're unwelcome? And Guam? What liberal group is salivating at the idea of, like, if only we had all the progressives on Guam?
No chance. It would be very unfair. And
why?
Why
can't you win those people over?
Congressional seats. So that's what they want to do. So
those people are Americans.
If you give them what they want, we really have a one-party system. You can never.
Yeah, I don't believe Panic. I don't think the Guam thing was actually floated by anyone serious. I'm just messing around. Certainly Puerto Rico, and again, like I said, not D.C. D.C. won't happen. D.C. is the seat of power. As a city, it is not a full state. If you give it the rights and privileges of a state separate unto the seat of government, you create an unnecessary tension between that and just the safety measures of the city being handed over, like another layer of bureaucracy. It's just not going to happen.
Yep. So they'll be talking about anywhere from 4 to 6 senators. Republicans can't win those states, although.
Why?
I've been better to Puerto Rico than any other president. I've given them a lot of help. But if you take a look at what's happening, they're not good to Puerto Rico. But I've been good to Puerto Rico. I have a great relationship to Puerto Rico. But they're looking.
Based on what?
For statehood.
I love how he's like, the worst hurricane hits them, so they require the most help they've ever needed. And because he was president and the Congress allocated that money because it was a disaster, then he wants credit because he was there during the biggest disaster. And he still dragged ass.
Puerto Ricans don't want statehood. They're doing better.
What?
The way it is now, frankly. But they want to.
Yeah, Puerto Ricans, you guys, they don't want statehood.
You've been seeing this. This has been taking place. They want to put 2 or 3 states. So they want to have 53, right? 53. What's the flag going to look like, right, John? What's the flag going to look like? They want.
It's going to look. It have 3 more stars. It looks like the regular flag, except it would have 3 more stars. Saying. More than likely, it'll have 1 more star. But so we should. What number would you prefer? Does it look better with 5 stars? Should we just start expelling anything that was in an original colony?
53 or 52, depending on what they do. I guess they could probably do even more than that. We have islands all over the place. Why don't they go for the whole ball game? So it's a very, very sad thing for our country. Very, very sad.
We have islands all over the place. Oh yeah, like Minnesota, every island, the land of 10,000 lakes. All those islands deserve their own state.
Thing. And in all fairness to Mitch, he did not want to do the nuclear option. And I disagreed because I said they're going to do it. It turned out that they are. But he's a legitimate guy. He wasn't going to do the nuclear option because he thought it was bad for our country. So I understand.
Yeah.
That I didn't go wild, but I did say it would be good to do it because they're going to do it. So it's a very sad thing. So you're going to have 2 or 3 more states added. You're going to have 4 or 6 senators added. 100% Democrat. 100%.
100%. There is no way any of those people would be interested in the Republican Party, and they will never be convinced to be on board. You can't win states with that many brown and Latino people in it.
You're going to have maybe 20 congressional candidates or districts added, and
they're that populous. You think there are that many? 20 districts in Puerto Rico?
It's really a horrible thing. It's going to be very unfair. You're going to end up having a one-party system in the United States. So if people want to stop that, you got to vote against the Democrats.
Wow.
By the way, some news broke earlier this evening. Hope Hicks, who's worked for you for a long time, is tested positive for coronavirus.
Yeah. I just heard about that myself.
Obviously, our prayers are with
I have no idea how she got genital herpes either.
her. And by the way, everybody that is, as you call, gotten this invisible.
This is just cut to a shot of you coughing on her.
Enemy. Do you have any update on her? And where are we with therapeutics? Where are we with the vaccine?
She is a striking woman, though. I mean, she looks like a store mannequin. It's weird.
She did test positive. I just heard about this. She tested positive.
Yeah, I just heard about it. We, of course, scrambled to get tested again, and we're waiting for our tests to see, but...
She's a hard worker, a lot of masks. She wears masks a lot, but she tested.
Why are there no pictures of her wearing any?
Positive. And I just went out with a test. I'll see what, because we spent a lot of time, and the First Lady just went out with a test also.
Oh, yeah? Why? Why is that?
So whether we quarantine or whether we have it, I don't know. It's very hard when...
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's already hedging. The quarantine was known at this point.
With soldiers, when you're with... airmen, you're with the Marines, and and the police officers. I'm with them so much, and when they come over to you, it's very hard to say, "Stay back, stay back." It's a tough kind of a situation.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Especially soldiers and cops. They know duty more than any other group of people. They would, whatever the protocol would be, they will match it. Your goofy followers who want to run up and snuggle you, that's different.
It's a terrible thing.
General consensus is, I think it's real.
So I just went for a test, and we'll see what happens. I mean...
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We're starting to get into the languaging, like, we'll see, my taxes, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? And we'll the Mueller report, we'll see what happens.
Who knows? But,
Who knows? Who knows?
Oh, very well. She's fantastic, and she's done a great job. But it's very, very hard when you are with people from the military or for law enforcement, and they come over to you, and they want to hug you, and they want to kiss you because we really have done a good job for them. And you get close, and things happen. I was surprised to hear with Hope, but she's a very warm person with them, and she
looks very warm. She doesn't look at all like she's waiting for a new battery.
There's a risk, but she's young, and I just
she's a young.
Went out for a test. They just do it. It'll come back later, I guess.
You just went out for a test? Just drop by. You went like I did to parking lot outside a medical facility, and they shoved the swab up your nose.
And the First Lady also, because we spend a lot of time with Hope and others. So we'll
like who?
What happens, but
where are we with therapeutics and with the vaccine in your view?
You have to treat.
Why is who trying to slut shame her? Who's slut shaming who? Because she must be dating a military guard. That's the thing, is that I don't know. It seems like this weird thing about he wants to blame the military guys who've come up and are apparently flirty or physical with Hope. And that's how, and with him, and that's how he got it and gave it to her, or she got it and gave it to him.
Are people great? You can't just say, stay away, stay away. They come up to you. There's such love with what we've
Yes, you can.
done for them, and there's such love.
Yes, he just blamed soldiers and law enforcement for infecting her, and he's saying the same thing about him.
But you have to treat our people great. I think the vaccines are coming
How is it not treating them great to have a protocol during a pandemic?
quickly. I do think it's somewhat political. They'd like to do it. Even the drug companies, they've dealt with these people a long time. I think they'd like to do it after the election, even if it's a couple of days. But the fact is, the vaccines are coming out. The therapy.
Yeah, by the way, now, for the record, he gets to skip the whole vaccine thing. Because after you had it, or when you have it, the vaccine doesn't help you. You're done. There's no point where Trump gets a shot of his own vaccine now. So that's a little wonky as well.
Are coming out, and they're coming out really good. Regeneron and other companies.
Yeah, they were just Regeneron. It's interesting that you bring them up. When in the very next day they gave you a cocktail of stuff. When did they give you that? We heard about it today. These
are great.
Oh yeah, they're great. Well, what do you want to bet, guys, that the Regeneron folks had already been there and given him that shot of stuff that night?
Eli Lilly. So we'll have to see. The survival rate is so much better now than it was. You've seen those.
Than it was.
Numbers, I guess 95% or something like that better. So we'll have to see. I mean,
no. There's 85% fewer deaths, which means it was cut in half. It was almost cut in half.
I'll get my test back either tonight or tomorrow morning, but I spent a lot of time.
There were 2,400 people dying, and now there's 1,000 to 1,100 people.
With Hope, and so does the First Lady, and she's tremendous. I was a little surprised, but she's a very warm person. She has a hard time when soldiers and.
What do you mean? What does this have to do with anything? You're around a shit ton of people. You assholes don't wear masks.
Enforcement comes up to her. She wants to treat them great, not say stay away. I can't get near you. It's a very, very tough disease.
Not say stay away. I can't get near you. No, you inform the military. They tell the military people and the cops that they're meeting with the president is under protocol. We're dealing with an infectious disease. The problem isn't that. The problem is you've told them all it's bullshit. And if you all of a sudden have this standard where you're like, tell everybody they got to stay 10 feet back and yada, yada, then they all know you're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Let me ask you this question. You have talked a lot about the issue.
Ask him a question, Sean. Go for it. Let's hear it. Tough time. Let's go.
Voter fraud. And by the way, this was just breaking tonight as we're coming on the air that the Trump campaign is suing Philadelphia over mail-in voting offices. We had 100,000 ballots in trouble. The Heritage Foundation identified 1,285 cases of recent voter fraud, including nearly 1,000 convictions on the issues.
Right.
We saw the Trump ballots.
How many of those are Democrats? Please go on.
Military ballots and a waste paper basket.
A waste paper bastard.
In Pennsylvania.
Yeah, 9 of them. 7 of them were for Trump. 2 were illegible. An intern threw them out because they were in the wrong envelopes. They got counted. And 9.
We had
the intern or the temp got fired.
People being mailed absentee ballots, and we had a criminal conviction in New Jersey, attempted to bribe voters with mail-in ballots. Project Veritas came out with a tape. There was a case in Florida. There's been cases all over Colorado.
Bring up the river.
Colorado, Florida, Texas.
Scam. And
It's a total scam, even though there's a good portion of these are actually Republican operatives.
Everyone knows it, John. It's a scam, and everyone knows it.
How do we have voter integrity and this idea that Hillary Clinton talked about?
Oh, thanks, hosted radio.
You accepting the results of the election. Hillary said under no circumstances should Joe Biden ever concede the election.
No, she said on election night. And there's a big difference between on election night and ever. When you're talking about, time.
Joe said the other night he would, under the right circumstances.
One guy tried to get a ballot for his dead wife and was arrested immediately. Any idea of which way he was voting?
Circumstances. Do you really foresee a problem in these last-minute changes that are being made?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, to me, it's incalculable how that then impacts the election. What are your thoughts?
Well, in New York, they lost 100,000 ballots were sent out wrong. The envelopes were wrong. The names were wrong. Everything was wrong.
Not everything was wrong. The exterior envelopes were wrong because they outsourced. They privatized and outsourced the printing of the ballots. The company's going to fix it. The state doesn't have to pay for it. They have to reissue them. It's just in an area. And by the way, it's an area that is going to go overwhelmingly for Biden in a state that Biden's going to win. So if there's any shenanigans going on to try and water down that vote, it doesn't benefit Biden.
So they said, oh, that's okay. We'll send out a new 100,000. Okay, let's.
Yes. They will have a different UPC symbol on them. They will have a different categorization that goes with them. And the other ones will not count. They will print them, if you'll see, in a different envelope color with a different UPC symbol. They will fix that part of it. It will line up with that voter. You can only vote once. If you try to vote once, you go to
assume they get it right. What happens to the 100,000?
You can't sign the outside of those envelopes because it's not your signature. So when they see it, they'll match the signature. If you tried to send it in and you're like, Frank Jenkins is on this ballot and that's not your name. But you're like, screw it, I'll vote twice. And I'll vote for Frank Jenkins and then I'll sign his name and then I'll send mine in also. First of all, it goes to your address. So they know that where the person who voted illegally lives. They know Frank Jenkins, when they check, doesn't live there. They know you live there. They know they'll arrest you for fraud because you want to do 5 years for one vote. No, they send you a replacement after you complain and you vote.
They sent out. They're going to be sent back by somebody. And
no, they're not.
It's going to be a fraud.
No, they won't.
This is a terrible thing that's happening to our country. And, the only one that knows it better than you and I and other people is the Democrats. They know it. They know it. They're smart. But I'll tell you the big
They're smart. Well, that's nice that he admits
hope is that we have great federal judges, and we have a lot of cases in front of these federal judges. And I think they're really talented, very smart, and I think that we're going to do very well. Because no judge, how about this? The election ends on November 3rd, but they're giving, certain states the right to go another week. So that means we're not going to.
Okay. The deadline to mail your vote in is Election Day. If you mail in your vote on that day, your ballot should be within 3 days because it's local balloting. It isn't traveling very far. It doesn't have to go to a federal system, get sorted, and come back. It can be done on a state level. It gets sorted. It takes about 3 days. If DeJoy screws up the entire mail system and delays the whole thing so that it takes 10 days to make sure your vote doesn't count because of the 3-day or 7-day window that was there previously, that's denying you the right to vote. So they extend it 10 days just in case. So DeJoy's attempts to slow down the votes won't actually have an impact on the election. That's what they're pissed about.
Oh, because, they're big states. That means we're not going to know the election for another week. And then if there's fraud, then there's going to be a lot of, and there will be. Just take a look at New York. Take a look at the ballots that were thrown into a garbage can, and they all had the Trump name on it.
No, they weren't. They were set aside. They weren't thrown out.
They were military ballots. They were
in the wrong envelopes. And the temp that was in charge of that didn't know that military ballots look differently, so they set them aside as other pieces of mail.
Thrown into a garbage can.
7 of them were for Trump, 2 of them were for Biden or someone else.
The ones that were on a tray and they were thrown into a creek or a river.
Okay. Do we do this one? Can we do this one real quick? Let me I got to bring this one up. I have to do this one. So because this story got tweeted out earlier. Let's see, where is the river? Let's just grab that whole story. So that whole happened. That whole thing happened. There you go. Gotta see this, like, no ballots, river, ditch. Try to see it find that way. Here you go. This is Sam Stein put this out. Hold on. So this is there we go. JS Online. Let me bring this story out. There you go. So this is the story he was talking about. Okay? This is, let's be abundantly clear. Mail found in Greenville ditch did not include any Wisconsin ballots. No Wisconsin absentee ballots were found in mail discovered in a ditch in Fox Valley last week, the state's top election official said Thursday. 3 trays of mail were found in a ditch in Greenville last week, and the Outagamie County Sheriff's Office said at the time it included several absentee ballots. Megan Wolf, the director of the Wisconsin Elections Commission, said during a virtual news conference Thursday that no Wisconsin absentee ballots were found. She said she did not know if there were ballots from other states. There was mail found outside of Appleton, and the mail did not include any Wisconsin ballots. When news broke about the mail in the ditch, White House seized the situation to rail against mail-in voting as a system that's subject to fraud. In fact, in the last 24 hours, police in Greenville, Wisconsin, found mail in a ditch. It included absentee ballots. Tuesday's debate with Democratic nominee contended ballots had been found in creeks in what may have been a reference to Wisconsin, because they weren't any of them found in there. Postal Service said it is investigating what happened in Greenville. Postal Service has been under fire in recent weeks for mail slowdowns ahead of the November 3rd presidential race. Gee, what party's in charge of the post office right now? Absentee voting in Wisconsin is expected to hit a record this fall because of the coronavirus pandemic. More than 1.2 million Wisconsin voters have requested absentee ballots so far. Electioneering, Okay, yeah. So, anyways, this is there was none. Is my point. This was just mail. This was just a box of mail somehow ended up in a
It's a terrible thing.
Fell off the truck or something.
And if you look at Carolyn Maloney, what they did to that guy that ran against her is a disgrace. That's in New York, and that's only for a congressional race.
Good God. Do we do the Carolyn Maloney thing too? Again. Prime. Yeah, there we go. This one, I mean, there's a lot of back and forth. After, let's see. This is New York Times. Democratic primary. After 6 weeks. With that, I hate how this squeezes me into giant picture phase. Beg your pardon. So aggravating. Here we go. So after 6 weeks, the New York City Board of Elections confirmed the results in a pair of congressional races on Tuesday evening, delivering victories to a longtime Democratic incumbent and a young city lawyer who could make a trailblazer for gay and African-American rights. In the South Bronx, Richie Torres, 32-year-old New York City councilman, won a 12-way Democratic primary for soon-to-be open House seat, continuing a dramatic remaking of the New York congressional delegation. Just to the south, Representative Carolyn Maloney narrowly brushed back a primary challenge from Suraj Patel, 36. The longtime incumbent just managed to sidestep a wave of youthful progressivism that has tilted New York's congressional delegation to the left. Extensive delays in declaring winners had stirred significant concerns about the problems facing officials trying to conduct elections during the coronavirus outbreak. The New York City's handling of primary has been used as fodder by the president. Primary was held on June 23rd, though the outbreak had caused a huge expansion in the use of vote by mail, which led to a torrent of absentee ballots sent to the Board of Elections in New York City. The outbreak has prompted states across the nation to consider expanding mail. Blah, blah, blah. The resulting backlog, this is the whole thing. In New York City, officials were left counting more than 400,000 absentee ballots, more than 10 times the usual number in a primary. The resulting backlog drew the derision of President Trump, who used the long delays as a reason to cast aspersions on voting by mail system nationwide. It also led to bickering between Cuomo and other officials. Although city officials certified the results, they did not release updated vote totals. The Associated Press, which typically declares election results, reported the results on Wednesday. Mr. Torres, who identifies as Afro-Latino, would most likely be one of the first two openly gay Black or Latino members of Congress. The other is Mondaire Jones, a 33-year-old lawyer who defeated another crowded field, seeking to fill a seat in Hudson Valley, being vacated by Nita Lowey, the first woman to chair the House Appropriations Committee. Both Ms. Lowey's seat in the 12th Congressional District, which includes parts of Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn, and the 15th Congressional District in the Bronx, where Mr. Torres won his primary, are solidly Democratic. These are all blue-on-blue things. It's a primary thing. They had 400,000 ballots, and they govern their own primary election. Like, this is like he gives a shit who wins these things.
They have no idea where the votes are, where the ballots are. This is
Yes, they do.
be all over. This is in Virginia. This is in New Jersey. It's a very, very sad thing, and hopefully we can win by a lot, because I have no doubt that they're going to be doing a number. I have no doubt about it, and the press knows that too. You know, they act so sacrosanct. They act so, oh, it's so terrible.
Sanctimonious. Sacrosanct. They act so sanctimonious, is what you mean. But please, tell me how Joe Biden wouldn't say law enforcement.
Talking about our democracy, they know
sacrosanct.
What's going on.
You don't know what's going on. Go ahead, hold on.
So, oh, it's so terrible. He's talking about our democracy. They know what's going on. It's really a shame. If the other side did this, you would see everybody would be arrested, put in jail. You have to see what's going on. But the good news is we just got a very good decision in Rhode Island. Great decision. We have some great decisions coming down. You have to have the votes in by November 3rd. You have to have it signed. You have to have it certified. They have to guarantee the certification. I mean, in Nevada, Sean, they don't want to have any certification of a signature. Just do a signature, and they don't want to have certification. I think you don't even have to.
No, you don't have to witness it. They'll check it once it gets there.
Sign it. And
yes, you do.
The governor is a very political person. It's a ridiculous thing, and we're going to win Nevada on a fair basis. But it's very hard when they send millions of ballots out and then they cheat.
Let me ask you, we learned this week, and this is something, we broke a lot of news in the last 3.5 years, not really gotten a lot of credit for it. Turns out we were right all along, that the Obama administration knew in 2016 that they knew Hillary was attempting to tie you to Russia to get away and distract from her subpoenaed emails.
Yeah, that's what she was doing. Not that we all give a shit about Russia's attacks on our democracy.
We also learned that now James Comey, along with Rod Rosenstein, along with Sally Yates, knowing what they know now, never would have signed the FISA applications that denied constitutional rights to Carter Page to spy on your campaign, your transition team, and your presidency. Comey had amnesia on the rest of it, but we also learned that Christopher Steele's source, and that was the bulk.
You mean the Christopher Steele that was sleeping with Ivanka Trump?
Of data, Andrew McCabe said no Christopher Steele files at Hillary dossier. There would be no FISA warrants. We now know that all of it was from a guy that our own FBI knew to be a Russian operative for 10 years. Right. We don't have a lot of time. Your reaction to all this new news?
It's a scam. They spied on our campaign. They got.
Oh, God. First of all, yes, they knew it was an operative. The guy was the source. You take that with a grain of salt. You know, hey, I talked to this guy and he works for the Kremlin or whatever. He's given me some info. You need to check it. But he said this happened, this. Like, how do you do they understand how confidential informants work at all? So cops talk to a member of a gang and find out drug deals are happening or guns are being run or whatever. And Fox wants all that evidence thrown out because the source was a criminal? What?
Caught.
Yes, Christopher Steele was allegedly having an affair with Ivanka. Gonzo.
The only sad thing is nothing's happening with them, and they're a bunch of crooks.
The only sad thing is no matter how much we throw this shit against the fan, it doesn't stick.
They spied on our campaign. They got caught. They tried to do a coup, and they got caught. Now we got to see what's going to happen. It's time to move. This is ridiculous, okay? This is ridiculous.
Okay.
So sad. We caught them spying on our campaign. Never happened before. Spied before and after. And it never happened before. And I watched Comey. He couldn't remember anything, but he's writing all these books. They're guilty as hell. They should all be in jail. Okay? You know
it as well as I know it. That you can always tell when Trump is lying hard. Here's some facts versus myths in the general election in Nevada. Election officials in Nevada, myth number 4. Do not verify the voter's signature on a ballot return envelope before the ballot is counted. Signature verification is performed on every ballot received. If the signature is missing, or if the signature on the ballot return envelope does not match the signature on file for the voter, the ballot will not be counted until the voter verifies their signature. But myth, and fact. Myths and facts. So the Trump administration is filing a lawsuit based on this myth, and the answer to said lawsuit is this fact. Here's what the Trump administration doesn't want you to do. Trump administration does not want you to cure the ballots. Trump administration wants to, if it doesn't match, they want it thrown out. Instead of calling and saying, hey, is this your signature? Got it? Or if it doesn't match, calling. Yeah, Biden pulled all of his negative ads today, which I thought was a class move. It's something Trump would never do.
And I know it. They should all be in jail, and it's disgraceful.
They should all be in jail. Yeah.
It's a disgrace to our country if they don't go to jail. Hillary Clinton got caught. Comey got caught. They all got caught. And Biden, by the way, mentioned the Logan Act. That was a big...
Yeah, because somebody brought up the Logan Act, and he was like, Jesus, the Logan Act. I haven't even said... Nobody's even brought up the Logan. Like, if you look at the story about Biden talking about the Logan Act, he didn't have you guys thought about the Logan Act? It's this law that's really obscure. It's been on the books for a long time, but nobody's ever really used it. Biden's response was, Jesus, you're going to use the Logan Act to go after him? I don't even remember the last time I've heard somebody mention the Logan Act.
Part of it. And Obama, too. It's a disgrace what's happened. A disgrace. And they should do something about it. They can't let this just go on ad infinitum. They should do something about it.
Let me ask you very quickly here.
Yeah, please, very quickly. He needs to be at Walter Reed.
This election is in 33 days. Right. What is, in the 45 seconds we have left, you've gone through things you want to do, the economy, law and order, safety, security, and a vaccine. Are those your 3 top things that you want to accomplish?
Well, it is. It is.
I mean, everything is really the top. Everything we do is top. It is the top.
But we've already rebuilt the military, $2.5 trillion. It's the strongest military in the world. But
so what do we need you for? Then it's already done, right?
We have weapons, the likes of which nobody even comes close to. And so we've done that. We've cut taxes at a record level. We've cut, if you look at regulations, we've cut more regulations than.
So what are you going to do?
Where will the economy be in by the end of this year, in your view?
The turlet.
Well, I think better than that. I think you're going to see some great numbers just 2 days before, because you're going to have the third quarter come out just before the election. And I think you're going to be up anywhere from 22 to 35% in GDP. And if that's the case, that's bigger.
No, you mean 22 to 35% from the bottom it was? Because again, this goes back to that bullshit about the numbers of jobs being added. You lose 30 million jobs, you get 9 million back. You don't get credit for creating 9 million jobs.
Any economic rebound in history. So I think that'll be good. Let's see what happens. But those numbers are coming out sometime prior to November 3rd, which is the election.
All right, Mr. President, 33 days. The American people, the ultimate jury. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask.
It's the best final interview before an election I've ever given. Hold on. So this, let's see. Biden gave a speech. We got 10 minutes left of the show. Let me see if I can do something real quick, because I want to find something real quick. See if there's, and I don't know, you guys. Trumpet, Walter Reed. See if they have any. You should ad infinitum. Deal. All right, I'll throw that in there as a possible one. This is, let's see. Yeah, Trump is a wreck. Hold on. I want to see Mark Meadows' remarks. How will all of this slow the SCOTUS appointment? Yes. They will try to rush it through. But this is, they're going to, this will definitely throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing. See if I can find. Where are they? Mark. Where is he? Mark Meadows. There. Oh, I found it. Hold on. 1 second. Coming up. I found it. Here you go. This is assembled Motang. Yep. Let's see. So
make sure that not only his.
This is his remarks today. At this point, Mark Meadows knows the president is positive, the symptoms that he has, the fact that he's going to Walter Reed, whatever he says, he already knows all this stuff. So keep that in mind.
As we look to try to make sure that
not wearing a mask didn't come out wearing a mask.
Not only his health and safety and welfare is good, we continue to look at that for all of the American people. He continues to be not only in good spirits, but very energetic. We've talked a number of times this morning. I got the 5 or 6 things that he had tasked me to do, like I do every single morning. And
yeah, your chief of staff. You're going to be in charge of, yeah, he's going to want you to do 5 things while he goes to the hospital for days.
Is certainly wanting to make sure that we stay engaged. I think.
Really? That's weird.
The other thing that is.
You don't think he just wanted to fold up the whole shit show and call it a week?
It's critically important. The doctors continue to monitor both his health and the health of the First Lady. We'll continue to do that.
You mean they're going to continue to do that even this long after they've been diagnosed?
Glad to provide some.
They're still monitoring their health. I mean, it's been 20 hours.
Updates later today as we look at this, but I think the great thing about this president is not only is he staying committed to working very hard on behalf of the American people.
Yeah, because working smart is out.
His first question to me this morning is how's the economy doing? How are the stimulus talks going on Capitol Hill? A number of us.
You mean he woke up thinking about only money? What a shock.
In the core team of the White House.
Is that before or after you brought him his first Diet Coke of the day?
Continue to get tested on a daily basis like we are, like we have been. And as we look to that, we're very excited about making sure that not only that the health and safety of the President and the First Lady is addressed, but certainly that we
You're very excited about this.
Address this battle together as a nation together, and the American.
Yeah, I'm totally excited about worrying about the president and his wife's health and how the rest of the nation is doing. You know, it just jazzes me up, bruh.
People.
What a stupid way to, like, again, you can tell this is all just inflation. This is just them puffing air up his ass.
Can rest assured that we have a president that is not only on the job, will remain on the job.
He's going to remain on the ICU ward.
And I'm optimistic that he'll have a very quick and speedy recovery.
Mark, how would you describe it?
Uh-huh. You're optimistic about that. Well, it's your job to be, so.
Symptoms, and is he taking hydroxychloroquine?
Well,
no.
I'm not going to get into any.
No. I can answer that unequivocally. Let's put a pin in this right here. I, Hal Sparks, am here to tell you the President of the United States is not being given hydroxychloroquine. Okay? Not happening. They're not giving it to him in any form. It's not in the cocktail he got from Regeneron. It's not any of this shit. They're not giving him hydroxychloroquine.
Particular treatment that he may or may not have. He has mild symptoms as we look at that.
Yeah, they're mild. They're getting worse by the hour, and we had to take him to the hospital, but
the doctor
last night he was like, yeah, he's got some mild symptoms, a little fatigue, a little aches and pains or whatever. Now he's got a sore throat and a fever, a mild cough, congestion, starting to fuck with his lungs. Yeah, it's fine.
Continue to provide expertise in the residence. He's in the residence now.
Not for long.
And in true fashion, he's probably critiquing the way that I'm answering these questions. I can't.
Dude, we don't give a shit if you feel abused in your job. You took this job. That's what's happening. You think he's watching this and he's gonna shit on you when you get back in the building. And by the way, he's not. Mark Meadows, when he's talking right now, knows full well the president is not watching this. He is prepping to be taken to Walter Reed. He is undergoing, at this very moment, while Mark Meadows is talking to you, make no mistake, if they're moving the president to Walter Reed for at least 3 days, if not more, because of an abundance of caution, they're going to give him guarded medical services just to make sure nothing's bad. Like, while he's giving this talk outside the building, that means there is a big, freak out inside the building that's going on right now as they prep to figure out a way to get that dude's ass on that helicopter and to Walter Reed. So Mark Meadows knows the president is not watching him, that he's not going to catch shit when he goes back inside, and that none of this is true, which means this is Mark Meadows, thinking this is cute, and people like the idea that the president is a taskmaster and bosses staff around like an asshole. And secondly, it's Mark Meadows venting some of his anxiety and hatred of the guy who calls him a piece of shit all the time whenever he screws up.
Tell you that,
and this is the most talking Mark Meadows has done, for the president in quite a while. Like, he's a secretary as far as Trump is concerned. The fact that he's out there doing this.
A number of us will be reporting back to him on the task at hand.
But what are they?
The task at hand. By the way, the chances of the stimulus going through have just gone through the roof. Because Mnuchin cannot afford to play hardball if the president is now being taken off the campaign field for a week or more. And especially if the illness makes him skip the next debate. Unless they set up some sort of propped area. Do you think he's faking it to get out of the debates? No, I don't. I think they may play it up if he gets better between now and then to get out of the debates. But at this point, the fact that they took him there and he's going to stay there for a couple of days, if he was faking, they'd stay in the White House. They would convalesce and isolate in the White House itself. The minute they moved him to Walter Reed for days, all bets are off. This is real. He's not going to... It's a terrible look for him to spend days at Walter Reed, okay? It's terrible. This is serious shit. If they were faking it, he would be like, we moved him to the Lincoln bedroom and he's staying away from everybody and he's drinking ginger ale and he's fine. It's not that.
And time,
even if he gets through it pretty easily after he's at Walter Reed, the ancillary reflex of most people watching this is that they're going to see that the president himself got the best care in the world at Walter Reed and then recovered in a short order of time, which is something the average American doesn't get anywhere near that level of care.
Clear this up. What day and time did you find out that Hope Hicks had tested positive, and did you sit on it until after the president went out?
Yes.
To his fundraiser in New Jersey?
Actually, as we look at this, I'm not going to get into the TikTok. I can tell you.
That's a yes. Do you see that, guys? This is the whole timeline. Hi. Aw, thank you, babe. Aw, beverage. Brought me a beverage because it's this. Huh? Aw. You're gonna get some snuggles later. I'm just saying. You got some nuzzling coming your way, and not just from the cats. Yeah, the TikTok. Yeah, which is clearly that deal's on their mind. Trump clearly mentioned TikTok to him, by the way, and that's why that phrase got stuck in his head. Trump wants the TikTok deal to go through, and he wants money to go into the Treasury to patch some of the hole he's put there.
In terms of hope.
Look at this.
Actually, as we look at this, I'm not going to get into the TikTok.
Listen to the question the dude puts forward first.
Time, would you just clear this up? What day and time did you find out that Hope Hicks had tested positive, and did you sit on it until after the president went out to his fundraiser in New Jersey?
Okay, the answer is no. That's what you say. That's the answer. That's the answer. No, we did not sit on it. This is a very serious thing. We take it all very seriously. As soon as we found out Hope did this, we took measures. That's what you say. Even if people push back against it later and you're lying your ass off, that's what you say. That's what you say. You think he's going to say that? Oh, no.
Actually, as we look
at
this, I'm not going to get into the TikTok. I can tell you in terms of Hope Hicks, we discovered that right as the Marine One was taking off yesterday. We actually pulled.
This is the coordinated story they got together, by the way. They knew before.
Pulled some of the people that had been traveling in close contact. The reason why it was reported out, just frankly, is that we had already started the contact tracing.
Yeah, I can't bring the kittens down until they chill out. Maybe Summer could bundle one up and bring it. I don't know, but they're still a little skittish. We're getting close though. Probably 2 days away.
Just prior to that,
maybe a special Sunday show that I do from the room they're in.
As you know, last night, even in the early hours of this morning, the minute we got a confirmatory test on the president,
a confirmatory test. Confirmatory? Did you go? I think Dr. Atlas did it in the confirmatory with the rectal speculum.
like it was important to get the news out there at that time, and so
because it was already out. That's why they started putting this news out. It had already started to leak.
That's why we sent out the
oh, every night is date night.
Tweet late or actually early this morning.
And Mark, are you going to be asking staff members to take?
Yeah, we have 3 new feral kittens that we're taking and we're normalizing.
Additional precautions, Mr. Meadows. Are you going to ask staff members to take additional precautions? And why aren't you wearing a mask right now?
Yeah.
Because he's an asshole. Can I answer that one? Because he's an asshole. Wait, even Trump wants to answer it right there.
Because he's an asshole.
So I've
loser.
Obviously been tested.
Doesn't make any difference, asswipe. You've been tested this morning. You still hung around with these assholes who've been around the president who is symptomatic. You won't know you're free of it for 4 friggin' days.
Hopefully more than 6 feet away, and if there's
Murph is a wreck.
Any concern there from a guidance standpoint, we have protocols in place, and
none.
You know,
what are they? Well, you know, if you feel it, do them.
When early on, when
how can Republicans delay the election? No.
We first started to tackle the COVID-19 battle, we actually did 2 different things in the White House, a number of contingencies as we looked at not only additional testing, but certainly mitigating the risk for social distancing in private meetings and the like. But I think
mitigating the risk of social distancing in meetings. You mean mitigating the risk by social distancing in meetings? Kind of a different thing. We were very concerned about the danger of social distancing, so we decided it was best for herd mentality if we squeezed as many people in as we possibly could.
it goes to the broader question is even with a lot of the mitigating factors, Jim, what you have is a virus that is contagious, that certainly
bullshit. You guys constantly flout the mask wearing rules, and you think this stupid Abbott test, which is a 50-50 negative on it, is in some way, guarantees you safety. That's the problem.
Continues to be.
How can the Republicans request the House to delay the election? No, they cannot. It's in the Constitution.
Regardless of
if he's on his deathbed, if they're doing CPR on him the day of the election, they can't hold off. No.
Whatever protocol we have, that it has the ability to affect everybody. As you know, the president, we keep a pretty wide circle. All of you that have interacted with him know that. And so even with that wide circle around.
No, they don't. I've watched every friggin' day. They do not. He has these stupid little gatherings, and they roll by, they obviously take the Abbott test as the word of God. And
president, we find that
half the time you get a negative. It says the test says you're good. You don't have it. Half the time, that test is wrong. 10 people take the Abbott test in the White House. 10 people. And all 10 of them get a negative result. 5 of them could still have it. You understand? And those 5 people will act just like this 5 people who are actually negative. They'll talk to the same people. They won't wear a mask. They'll wander around. They'll shake hands and eat off the same fucking tray of snacks. The 15-minute Abbott test is bullshit. You have to do it twice to guarantee it. They ran a second. I have a hair in my eye. There you go. It's a cat hair, I think.
He's having to deal with this like so many millions of other Americans.
Yeah, he's having to deal with it just like you and I, folks. If you and I get COVID from one of our myriad of staff or the advanced security protection that we all rely on, we deal with it like everybody else does. We tell Sean Hannity that we're waiting for results we've already gotten. and then the next day we get helicoptered to a special facility that will treat us and only us in a wing built for our own care. You know, like Americans.
The people around the world have had to do.
But Mr. Meadows, we notice,
I can tell you that what we're doing is focusing on the therapeutics, the vaccines, continuing to do that, and that.
Why would you stop? And why is that special? Again, this is like talking to a traffic light that thinks by cycling through red, yellow, and green, it deserves extra credit. Nothing is more annoying than a traffic light that brags that it does its job.
If I may,
CNN is reporting breathing problems. Yeah, that was the idea, is that he's got congestion and a cough, which would qualify as breathing problems. We'll see how.
When did the president? I just wanted to ask really quickly, the officials who were on the flight with the president on Wednesday, including Kushner, Scavino.
By the way, if you smelled like the president, you would have breathing problems too. You would just avoid it.
Oh, I think Stephen Miller was there. Are they all quarantining? Have they been tested?
We've tested all of our core staff, and I can tell you that Mr. Kushner, Mr. Scavino, myself, a number of us have been tested, have come back with negative results, and yet at the same time, I fully expect that as this virus continues to go on, other people in the White House will certainly have a positive test result. And
yeah, you just count on it.
We've got the mitigation.
Yeah, the cytokine storm. That's the big fear with him. He's a friggin' wreck.
Plan in place to make sure
this is
that the government not only continues to move forward, but the work of the American people continues to move forward. And so, even as recent as this morning at a little after 8 o'clock, the president was giving me a number of things to make sure that I get done, and I'm sure that I will actually have those.
Yeah. Do we want to go look at how long Herman Cain was having conversations before he died? Let's see. Herman Cain COVID timeline. Think there's something in there? There you go. This is the okay. This is from a site called Infectious Diseases Today. Contagion Live. That's a hobby. Here you go. Stories in development, July 30th. Herman Cain, business executive, former presidential candidate, has died. Cain previously survived cancer and was 74 years of age. The announcement was made by Dan Calabrese on Cain's website. We knew when he was first hospitalized with COVID-19 that this was going to be a rough fight. He had trouble breathing and was taken to the hospital by ambulance. We all prayed the initial meds that would get him back to breathing normal, but it became clear pretty quickly that he was in for a battle. Cain was admitted to Atlanta, Georgia area hospital on July 1st after testing positive for SARS-CoV-2 several days prior. So there were days where he had tested positive. He was getting treatments as well. He just didn't go to the hospital. On Tuesday, Cain was said to be recovering, possibly reflecting the complex immune system stages of COVID-19 disease course. We didn't release detailed updates on his condition to the public or to the media because neither his family nor we thought that there was any reason for that. There were hopeful indicators, including 5 days ago when doctors told us they thought he would eventually recover, although it wouldn't be quick. We were relieved to be told that and passed on the news via Herman's social media. And yet, we also felt real concerned about the fact that he never quite seemed to get to the point where the doctors could advance him to the recovery phase. Cain was reportedly planning a new television series on Newsmax in the weeks before his death. Cain is survived by his wife, children, and grandchildren. Like, incredibly friggin' sad. Like, obviously somebody I disagreed with politically, but there was nothing about Herman Cain where you wished him death. Like, for God's sake. Poor man. But he had it for 5 days. Before they hospitalized him. They hospitalized Trump day one. Unless they knew Sunday, like everybody else said, that he had it, but was asymptomatic and thought they could skate by without telling anybody, which is entirely possible. And if Trump needs a ventilator, the doctor should say, "Oh, sorry, fake news is the UV lights work." Just kidding. Matt, I can't take a joke. Yeah, there won't be. Well, you'll see. They're not going to put him on a ventilator. They're gonna oxygenate his blood. They're gonna do they're not gonna let a picture sneak out of the hospital of Trump with a tube in his mouth.
Due outs have to be back to him later today. I'm not going to ask. So I wanted to come out and give an update to all of you, so that show the courtesy of giving an update.
Oh, it's a courtesy update, guys. It's not that the President of the United States is going to the fucking hospital with a disease that kills tons of people in his age range. It's, it's a courtesy.
Have future updates, I'll be glad to do that.
Yeah, if I got future updates, I'll glad, if I'm not doing anything.
But any other specifics at this point?
Will we see the president? Will we see the president?
Why does the president still travel to Bedminster, sir?
Thank you. God damn it. They have these, subscribe to our YouTube channel things. I got to make one of these for my channel on all these things to pop on the end. I don't have one. Plasma. Oh, they'll be chucking convalescent plasma in them. You can bet your ass. I'm gonna let you guys go and this evening and see what we're all gonna be watching the news nonstop. But we'll end with
Good afternoon.
this, shall we?
Before I start, let me explain the delay. We wanted to make sure that we're doing everything by the numbers, and so I got two COVID tests this morning. One in Delaware and one by the former White House doc who came up, and everything's clear. We wanted to make sure everything was clear before I came. And we were supposed to have an event after this at a headquarters, but based on the crowd size and an indoor, it was concluded by the docs that best not to do it. But I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Matt. And Matt, you're dead right. You were putting yourself on the line.
By the way, I really appreciate them getting Dr. Evil to do the sign language interpretation.
And a lot of other people did all across this country.
Dr. Evil.
In your union. And I want to thank David Way, Secretary Treasurer of Local 951, for having me here today. Look, I'd like to start by acknowledging, which I'm sure all of you do as well, sending my prayers for the health and safety of the First Lady and President of the United States after they tested positive for COVID-19. My wife Jill and I prayed that they'll make a quick and full recovery. This is not a matter of politics. It's a bracing reminder to all of us that we have to take this virus seriously. It's not going away automatically. We have to do our part to be responsible. It means following the science, listening to the experts, washing our hands, social distancing. It means wearing a mask in public, and it means encouraging others to do so as well. It means having masking mandates nationwide. The director of the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield said, and I quote, and he held up a mask, he said, "These face masks are the most important, powerful public health tool we have." Then he held the mask up again and said, "This face mask is more guaranteed to protect me against COVID than a vaccine," end of quote. Leading scientists from the University of Washington tell us that we can save more than 100,000 American lives in the next 100 days alone if everyone wore a mask in public.
By the way, Biden often takes his mask off when he gives a speech because everybody's backed up. But as an example, at these events, even though they are outside and even though people are 10, 15 feet away, he's keeping his mask on specifically because the video that's going out is not showing the distance between him and the people that are there. So he's making a distinct choice as a leader to set an example that you should be wearing a mask and that you can function while wearing a mask and give a speech. Also, Am I the only one that notes that his voice sounds deeper? And I don't mean because he's raspy or sick or anything like that. Like he's sitting into the depth of his voice.
So let me repeat that because it's so important. We can save 100,000 lives in the next 100 days, according to the head of the CDC, if everyone wears a mask in public. So be patriotic. It's not about being a tough guy. It's about doing your part. Wearing a mask is not only going to protect you, but it also protects those around you. Your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, husband, wife, neighbor, coworker. Don't just do it for yourself. Do it for the people you love, the people you work with. The seriousness of this virus also underscores that we need regular testing with results turned around rapidly and that's available to everyone. It's not just the folks in the White House or who travel with me that deserve regular testing. It's folks in the meatpacking and food processing plants, grocery store workers. Every single American deserves safety and peace of mind. And it means we need transparency. Those who test positive need to participate in contact tracing so that everyone who they may have exposed can get tested themselves.
By the way, these are little shots at the fact that the Trump campaign, Meadows, and all those folks aren't doing these things. He's not mentioning Trump. This is definitely a high road speech. And he's trying to get this across as a policy idea that you should be doing this. But, nice, Gonzo. But very specifically, Biden is making the point that all these things that we will be hearing in the news that the Trump campaign has not been doing and is not doing in regard to the people who are sick amongst them needs to be done.
That's how you stop transmission for any epidemic. It's basic. We need to take the science of fighting this disease seriously if we're going to save lives. And above all, the news is a reminder that we as a nation need to do better in dealing with this pandemic. Taking these steps is how we'll protect ourselves. And just as important is how we will protect one another. I hope that all those who are fighting this virus, including the First Family, and so many Americans today, recover and recover soon. My prayers are with the families of the more than 207,000 Americans who've died from this virus. Many of them got up this morning at the breakfast table with an empty chair of someone they lost and they loved. We understand. And there's more than 7 million Americans who are now infected, have been infected. That includes folks here in Grand Rapids and all across Michigan, especially all of you with UFCW, who are on the front lines of this pandemic and on the front lines of this economic crisis.
By the way, the people who have passed through this disease, that got it asymptomatically or had minor stuff and they were able to work their way through it, there's all this long haul aspects of this disease that are real, that have affected a bunch of people. And we don't know how long they'll last. It might be a year. It might be more. It may be as your body adapts, you'll get over it. It might be that some people get stuck with it as a semi-permanent thing, or that they need medical treatment to get over it at some point in the future once we figure this out. So all these 7 million people who have it, this is a growing list of people who, while they weren't killed by the disease, may now have an effect to their system that they're going to have to, that's going to be an extra drag in their life. And that in and of itself is a reason to protect people with pre-existing conditions again.
The UFCW workers who have always been on the front lines of fighting for dignity and respect you deserve. I know it's been tough. This morning, the September jobs report came out, the last one before Election Day. I'm grateful for all of those who were able to get their jobs back to work again, but there's fewer jobs than we had hoped for. Millions of families, millions, are still wondering when it will be their turn to come back from the brink. And the signs, according to the national press, are not encouraging. Once again, the pace of job gains is slowing down. Once again, we're seeing temporary layoffs turn permanent. This month
Good times.
marked the largest single month.
Sorry, anytime somebody says temporary layoffs, I like a Pavlovian response.
Increase in long-term unemployment since we started keeping records in 1948. There are now an additional 781,000 Americans who've been trying to find work for at least 6 months. They've been looking for work for at least 6 months and haven't found it. And in the past, that's a sign for permanency for them. We're still down 647,000 manufacturing jobs nationwide since the crisis started. All told, we are now 30 million workers who have either lost hours, lost paychecks, or lost their jobs entirely. Participating in the labor force, participation fell last month and remains sharply down since this crisis began, especially for women. There's another roughly 700,000 people who've dropped out of the labor force, stopped looking for a job.
Sonny in our chat room said, how do you think Trump's COVID was going to affect him politically? Do you think he'll lose any popularity at all? As it goes on, it will be increasingly hard for, I mean, I don't think his supporters will lose any love for him in that regard, but his, his invincibility, which is part of what they run on, will be affected. And his response to it, and perhaps even his ability to function as, just like anybody who's recovering from a disease, much less an older person, if you've been through a bad flu, the week after, I mean, you need more naps, you're just, your body's healing, you need a lot more fluids, all this other stuff. That's a person who's taken care of themselves. This dude eats garbage. Trump eats garbage, lives terribly, and jacks himself up allegedly on chemicals all the time to stay awake. It does not pose a good prognosis for healing and healing quickly.
The vast majority were women.
And by the way, if he does get on his feet and he does these rallies again, look for him to be sniffing and gacked up like crazy in the in the last run up to the election and going down hard the rest of the time.
Demonstrating once again how this economic crisis has been especially tough on women and families in this country. This will be the first presidency in modern history to leave office with fewer jobs than when it came into office. Michigan has lost more than 361,000 jobs since the beginning of 2017. In fact, factories were already closing before COVID.
He was already saying that the Dems gave him COVID.
Like the Knoll plant here in Grand Rapids. They announced back in January they were shutting down and cutting 210 local jobs. Manufacturing has already slipped into a recession last year. The net loss of auto manufacturing jobs you saw here in Michigan. And that economic pain was only amplified by the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Your schools and local businesses are closed, like all places around America. More than 26 million unemployment claims were filed by Americans last month. 46 million Americans have exhausted their emergency savings. And essential workers here in Grand Rapids won't forget how the UFCW members saw their jobs turned suddenly into a life and death task. Folks, today's report reinforces another painful trend, the continuing of what economists call a K-shaped recovery. The K means that letter going up, that's those who on the top, it keeps going up. While everyone else in the middle is going down and below, we're seeing things get worse. It means essential workers.
Notice how Pence isn't speaking today. It's Biden. Pence is apparently traveling to go continue campaigning, but these are all quiet campaign things. I don't know if Trump doesn't want to be overshadowed or whatever, but these end up being lunches and kind of smaller gatherings. They're not rally-like at all. Kamala has rallies, that are not dissimilar to what Biden's doing. They've got a coordinated attack. Pence is supposed to look like he's in the sidecar.
UFCW workers who sacrificed to keep us going through the pandemic and continue it are being left behind by the most unequal recovery in modern history. Because while workers are struggling, and this is a fact, the top 100 billionaires in America have done pretty well, just the top 100 of them. They've made up more than $30 billion this year.
Each.
In the last 9 months.
300. There was billionaires got $300 billion in the last 6 months, and so he's dividing the top 100, each of them getting $30 billion. It's not evenly distributed, but that's the point he's making.
And everyone else, though you keep hoping, you get the bottom of that K-shaped recovery. You get the downward slide.
Yeah, this dude is amazing.
You're left to figure out how you're going to pay the bills and put food on the table, how to balance doing your job with being a teacher to your kids because their school has gone remote. You're asked to risk your neck because you can't work from home, where the risks for COVID are kept outside. Because you work at a meatpacking plant or an assembly line or the checkout counter.
Senator Tom Tillis is positive.
I do understand this is a scary time, an uncertain time. I understand it and I see you. Because I see the world from where I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. A lot like Grand Rapids. It's filled with an awful lot of good people busting their neck every day, do the right thing for their families. In Scranton, my mom used to have an expression. She'd say it not just in Scranton, but from the time we left there. Say, Joey, nobody's better than you, Joey, but everybody's your equal. My dad's constant refrain after he lost a job in Scranton when there were no more work and he had to move to Delaware. He moved away for a little over a year, come back every weekend to see us. By the time we finally, a couple of years down the road in Delaware, got to finally be able to buy a home, my dad used to use this expression. He said, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community. These are the values that shaped my growing up, and I suspect most of you. They shaped my whole life. So I know and understood from the very beginning of consciousness about this, that Wall Street and CEOs didn't build this country. The middle class built this country. And unions built the middle class. That's why I've laid out a comprehensive agenda, not just to rebuild our communities, but to make bold investments so we can build back and build back better. An independent analysis, actually from Wall Street, Moody's, projected that my plan will create 18.6 million jobs, 7 million more than the administration's economic plan, and $1 trillion more in economic growth than the president's plan. That's not coming from a liberal think tank. That's coming from Moody's. Here's how my plan works. I'm going to raise taxes on people only making over $400,000. Anyone making less than $400,000 a year won't pay a penny more. But I'm going to ask the very big corporations, the Fortune 500 and the wealthy, to pay their fair share for a change. That means raising the corporate tax rate, which was in the mid-30s, and now is 21% back to 28%. That means making sure that no big company gets away with paying zero taxes, as 91 Fortune 500 companies do today, making billions of dollars. Zero taxes. How many of you paid zero taxes? It means making sure the wealthiest Americans don't get to pay at a lower tax rate because they're making money on their investments, but they pay at the same rate that they pay for their salary.
That's positive.
These changes in the tax code will raise the money that will allow me to invest in working people and growing the middle class, which is when I announced I was running, I said that's the reason, to rebuild the backbone of this country. Hardworking folks in the middle class. We're going to invest in creating millions of good-paying jobs, union jobs. And this is, by the way, my plan has been thoroughly analyzed by a whole bunch of folks. Take infrastructure, building roads, bridges, highways, ports, airports. We'll put millions of people to work in good-paying union jobs and create the foundation for growth in this country. Clean energy. Just upgrading 4 million buildings and weatherizing 2 million homes will create at least 1 million good-paying jobs. Leading the world on electric vehicles and building 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations on our highways will create 1 million new auto jobs here in this state.
He wore out the Dr. Evil dude, and he's now got his system.
Manufacturing and technology in those areas, making sure the future is made in America, made in Michigan, with good union jobs. You know, the federal government spends $600 billion a year, your tax dollars. $600 billion a year to purchase everything from military equipment to steel to cars to trucks to federal fleets. That's $600 billion. When I'm president, we're going to make sure we finally make good on a commitment made a long time ago, that these products, all these contracts that the President of the United States and the federal government can award, make sure those products are made by Americans in America, making sure that that's done. It's estimated that will create 5 million new manufacturing jobs and technology jobs. For small businesses, we're going to make sure small businesses come out on the other side of this terrible circumstance.
Yeah, we were going to end it 35 minutes ago, but hey.
With access to capital and the ability to deal with the debts that have been accumulated during this pandemic. And we'll make investments to increase incomes as well. $15 minimum wage. No one should be in a position to have to work 2 jobs just to get above the poverty line. We're going to bring back jobs from America, from overseas to America, and direct billions of dollars in revitalization funds and competitive grants to help communities like those in Western Michigan compete for new business startups. For our essential workers, we're not just going to praise you, we're going to pay you a good wage to ensure you have strong benefits. We're going to ease the burden of the major costs in your life, health care. We'll build on the Affordable Care Act through a new health insurance option, a not-for-profit public option, which will give private insurers a real competitor. We'll increase subsidies for your premiums so they're lower, so you can afford the plans with lower deductions and lower out-of-pocket expenses. It will cost, that plan alone will cost over $700 billion over 10 years. But it's paid for by eliminating those tax cuts. For a 40-year-old making $50,000 a year, your monthly premium will go down by 1/3. We'll take on the pharmaceutical companies with a plan that slashes the cost of prescription drugs for up to 60%. Medicare will be able to negotiate prices for drugs, fundamentally lowering those prices. And child care. A lot of you are dealing with that now. How do you go to work if you have work and take care of your kids or an aging relative that's in trouble? We're going to make high-quality child care affordable and accessible. Every 3- and 4-year-old will have access to free, quality preschool. We're going to make sure that low- and middle-income families will never have to pay more than 7% of their income for caring for a young child. And education beyond high school. We're going to make sure that 4-year college tuitions of a state university is tuition-free for any family making less than $125,000. Community college will be free, and programs for training will be free as well. If you're buying your first home, you'll have a $15,000 help to get there. These are all things that people have been talking about for a while. We're going to protect Social Security, increase the benefits for millions of seniors. The president's talking about eliminating the withholding tax. Well, that's wonderful, except for one thing. The actuary at Social Security said if that plan goes through, Social Security will be bankrupt by 2023. Folks, I promise you, we can do this. Let me close by saying this. I know a lot of people around here are tired of feeling overlooked and disrespected. I get that. The people I met this week taking the train through northeastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania, people like the dedicated elementary school teacher from Lordstown, Ohio, whose husband, when Lordstown shut down, accepted a transfer Kentucky 8 hours away each direction in order to be able to keep his health care and his pension after the GM plan closed. Folks who worry about health care, will the Affordable Care Act still be there for them? Why? Why, they ask, will I be among the 100 million Americans who could lose the protections for pre-existing conditions like asthma and diabetes, where once again women will be able to charge a higher premium just simply because they're a woman, where insurers no longer have to allow you to be able to keep your kids on a health care plan till age 26? What will happen to your Medicare benefits, your Social Security? Will they still be there when you retire? I'm asked many times in recent years, how do we get to the place where people who stock our shelves, pack our food, teach our kids like my family, take care of my wife, take care of our sick, who race into burning buildings and pick up the garbage off our streets, who did. How do we get to the place where y'all don't think we see you anymore or hear them, and most importantly, respect them?
This is, I don't think people may not appreciate what an incredible shift this is in presidential rhetoric, even over the last 20 years, and simply because of its specificity. Talking about frontline healthcare workers, grocery clerks, fire, people who work at fire departments, and garbage workers, like sanitation workers, all in the same breath. This is beautiful in its own right, even without the Trump situation we've been through. This is by itself. This is a shift that's specific to Joe Biden as a person.
That has to change. I know it can. I come from those neighborhoods. We can get this pandemic under control so we can get our economy working again for everyone. But this cannot be a partisan moment. It must be an American moment. We have to come together as a nation. I'm running as a Democrat, but will run and govern as an American president. Whether you voted for me or against me, I will represent you. And those who see each other as fellow Americans who just don't live in red states or blue states, but who live in and love the United States of America.
Hype train. Thank you, guys.
That's who we are. And there's never been a single solitary thing America's been unable to do. Think of this, not once. Not a single thing we've not been able to overcome when we've done it together. So let's get the heck up. Remember who in God's name we are. This is the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. I want to say God bless you. May God protect the first family and every family that's dealing with this virus. And may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I gotta admit, he got me on that last one. I started to tear up. He did it. I didn't think he would, and he did. I'm starting to get a little red-eyed. He got me. I was not expecting. I mean, I've seen this before, like his speech, his stump, but the addition of talking about, the first we got to care about the first family and all that kind of stuff, and I gotta say, like, as somebody who performs for Americans in large part, And I do comedy clubs all across the country. As I'm touring around, I don't specify my audience based on their education level or the job they do. I try to communally find something that everybody in the audience can laugh at with me that's authentic to the things that I see. So I take what are important to me, issues that stand out for me, that maybe make me different than other comics, and I still try to find a way that no matter what you do or what your socioeconomic station is in life, that you laugh at it, because that's what I'm there for. I don't like the idea of going to a club and only making the people that I think are cool or smart specifically laugh. I mean, there's too much of that, I think, in the comedy world sometimes. And I think the ability to make everybody there laugh at the stuff you find funny is the hardest work of being a comic. It's valuable. But what I find is, after the show, what people do, where they're from, when I converse with them at the meet and greets and stuff afterwards, when we used to have those lovely things, that I always find it heartwarming when people who are, my sister and her husband, they have a sanitation company. They have a little company that cleans parking lots for shopping malls and businesses. That's their job. They have these big trucks, like cleaning trucks and stuff like that, and they've got a crew of people, but that's their business. And everybody works. There's no executive in this company. They all do it. They all empty a garbage can, or they all pick stuff up. Somebody's walking around with a little frog gig getting garbage, or whatever. They do this. And I love them. And so when people come to my shows that do the same thing they do, honest to God, it's like they're like my family, And I love the idea that he's finally mentioning that, beyond all the other stuff, that people who, that we talk about first responders and cops and firefighters, and now we've added sort of nurses to that. But adding this, like, you guys have watched me talk about, when you're talking about PPE that you need for hospitals, the stuff the sanitation workers need and they have to wear is incredibly important. And they're the staff there that they come in contact with more pathogens in some cases than some of the nurses and doctors do, because the nurses and doctors are separated by wards, whereas the sanitation staff moves through the entire hospital, cleaning the entire place. So love and respect for those people. It's a shame that we get to a point where we have to remind people of that. But, for God's sake, like, I'm glad he's finally mentioning it. And that, like I said, beyond all the other stuff, beyond all the other elements, whether Trump's running, the fact that it's, this race is this, and we're post 2016 and 2020 is what it is, and all this craziness. All of that matters, but aside from that, in a completely different tack, it's that acknowledgement needs to become part of who we are as Americans. So, yeah. I just thought that was beautiful and stuff. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a wonderful night. I got radio tomorrow, 9 to 11 a.m., the HalSparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. And then the Sexy Liberal show, the next one, is the 26th of this month. It is racing right up to us. And by God, it is going to be a crazy show, considering what's going on. Yeah, it's the 24th. Yeah. The next Sexy Liberal show is the 24th of this month, October 24th. If tickets aren't available, they should be. They will be. If maybe Monday is when they start for the next one. And this is going to be a huge race, and all of next week is going to be like a crapshoot as far as what's what's going to be funny or like uber serious in all this. So I'm working on some pieces already for it. I hope I don't have to scrap all of it. Absolutely, Hal. Sanitation and food service are the happiest people in the hospital. I show 100%. I show those people 100% love. Absolutely. So, and that's what I would also say is start saying hi, please. Start saying hi. Did Patreons get your clips, HalSparks? Clips. Don't know what you mean. The clips from the show or... Oh, not yet. No. That's this weekend. So I do it a week after because I want, that to stand alone. So tomorrow night, I'll post those for you guys. So the 26th is coming up. That's the next Sexy Liberal. Yeah. So the insanity that will be the next 2 weeks, I mean, as far as comedy goes, is going to be nuts. I'm curious. I'm mostly next week, if Trump is not doing any of his rallies and that kind of stuff, what I'm going to clearly be dealing with on this show is all of his spokespeople, Kayleigh McEnany, obviously, but also the Fox News hosts who are going to be carrying water for him. So we'll be dealing with it, believe me. And Mark Meadows and that crowd, and Lindsey Graham, who looks ill, by the way. That's another story. Anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow on the radio show. Bless you. Thank you for hanging out on your Fridays with me. I love seeing you guys in the chat room. I mean, the news just keeps getting crazier. It's insane. So take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Social distance. Keep being vigilant with this until such time as they have a vaccine that works and we know it's available. You got to soldier through this. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, have a great night. Be safe. Big hugs, everybody.
Hydrosonic, I call it super duper. They just explode. When they gaze upon Yosemites, they just explode. Winston Churchill stood on the rooftops in London, very calm, making speeches. Winston Churchill. Yosemites, wildlife, refuges. I mean, you look at this, you look at what we do with our wildlife. Captain's log.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said, I drank what?
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.